KnockBack, the retro and nostalgia podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to KnockBack. It's us again, the brothers Moriarty here together. Gaiden, good to see you. How are you today, my friend? Good to see you today.
He touched my breasts.
Yeah. That's an outrageous
claim.
I mean, it's crazy. I don't like that guy. I don't like, that character, but it seems like a little crazy to me.
I mean, he didn't touch anybody's breasts.
No,
right? He
didn't have to kidnap Jimmy like he was like tearing him away in a horror film, of course, but
Jimmy. Hereby going forward will be referred to as
Jimmy. Jimmy.
Definitely Jimmy. 100% Jimmy from here on out. Tell me a story, my dude. It's Sunday. How long has it been since we did Turtles? We did
it a while ago. We did it in January. I think we recorded January. Let me look. January 31st, I think, is when we recorded that.
All right. So it's been over 4 weeks. God.
Yeah. Well, we didn't anticipate taking so long to get Turtles up. And then we were going to get that up even for Super Bowl. So that's how late we were.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
We were having a lot of problems, but I mean Lockhorn having a lot of problems dealing with the auto, the filtering on YouTube and how it just scans your shit for copyrighted materials.
Oh man.
Everyone and their mother gets away with this, and it's so annoying. And I understand. I don't want people to be robbing people, but it's all obviously fair use. And so, I've said many times in the past, let's playing and streaming video games is way more egregious than showing some clips from a movie, and yet that's just allowed. That's technically illegal, but everyone just doesn't do anything about it.
That's so funny.
So it got kicked back a million times. We could still publish it. We just wouldn't get it. We wouldn't have gotten in trouble. We just got no money for it.
Monetized, right?
Yeah, right. So we worked around that. We also got some good advice, I think, from some people in the space that are helping us kind of figure out how to get around that. But I also feel like maybe picking TMNT was a little bold. I don't know why. I just didn't think anyone would give a shit. Not our audience, but it's you're scanning YouTube for 1989 TMNT clips. It's a little weird, but
you know what? I didn't think of that though. Paramount and then the Skydance merger. It's kind of timely. I'm sure they have their goons out that just do that full time, especially now that's two multi-billion-dollar companies merging. Or I don't even know if that's still in the offing. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but that was a thing because I was at Nickelodeon, so I was paying close attention to that as it was happening. But maybe, that's a thing. That's a hard thing because that algorithm and their policies are constantly evolving, obviously, right? And a lot of that stuff is out of public knowledge. The way they're doing it, the way they're monitoring it, and so on and so forth. So it's I can't even imagine how tricky that much. I think about it a lot because I really want to launch a YouTube channel this year. And a lot of that's going to be talking about existing content, entertainment, animation, whatever.
Yeah.
I want to be able to talk about it, but it's and show clips and use audio and stuff, but it's tricky.
Yeah, there's two things about it, which is interesting. One is that you should be able to, I think it's up to 5 or 6 seconds of consecutive footage you can use, and that should be allowed. Yeah. And then the other thing is just, it is fair use. So if you wanted to if you wanted to go back and forth and be like, yeah, no, this is fair. You can when YouTube does anything to you can always say no.
Sure.
Or you can accept it. And it says a thing you have to, certify legally that that this is fair use and all that kind of stuff. And then it bounces back and forth. And then the other side, I think, has 30 days to do something. And a lot of times they just let it lapse. So you could go back and forth. It's just it's what I always tell my accountant. I always say it's I just want to do exactly what is expected. I don't want any problems with anyone.
Right. So it's who wants that?
So I don't want to be bouncing back and forth and be wait, so you think this is fair use? We don't think it is. We'll see you in court or something. And I'm oh my God, so I just thought I just want to get around it more from the foundation of it. But we did great. People were thrilled to see it. I don't know if you saw the feedback on Patreon, the feedback on YouTube.
I love hearing that. I love that people.
It was huge. It was a huge deal when it went up.
That's awesome.
Huge deal.
I know you wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. So
no, it's not true. I mean, it's no. I was it's not true. No, it is true, gotcha. And it's there for anyone to see. I mean, people can see. I haven't even looked in a while, but it had hundreds of comments and thumbs up and all the rest, and people were just amped and surprised. Good. I like good surprises.
I'm happy to hear that.
So we're back with another one here. Another same year, right? 1989.
Yeah. Well, no. Turtles was 90.
Yeah.
So we're going backwards a year.
Right, exactly. So, which is good.
Era.
Going backwards is good. I'd rather go that way than forward from 1990. I think going back from 1990.
89 and 90. Who doesn't want to go back to those years?
Who
does not want to go back to those years?
Those are hinge years for me. You know, like my life could have been totally like I'm an anxious, destroyed mess of a mental case.
Before
it all goes back to those days.
Heady days.
Yeah, really heady days. So everything well with you? You were at a game with your son too?
Everything's good. Yeah, man. I was texting you. Graydon's basketball game went into triple overtime.
Wow.
And his team, it's an intramural league. He basically does it to buy time in between soccer seasons now that soccer is ramping up again. But it was a weird season because I hate to say it like this. It sounds terrible, but his team got further. They kind of squeaked into the playoffs, so maybe they shouldn't have. Right? Good team, but streaky.
Cinderella story. Yeah.
Cinderella, a little bit of a Cinderella story, like a half a Cinderella story. Mm-hmm. They got in there. They're an adequate team, so it made some sense. And then got a couple of tiers into the playoffs, which was like, oh shit. So started to build hope of like, oh shit, are they going to go the distance? And then today's game, they played really good where a notoriously good team was playing like mediocre basketball for the first 3 quarters, I would say. And then it ended up, it was a nail biter. Helene and I were on the edge of our seats. Big crowd today, but parents representing and grandparents, a lot of grandparents representing both teams. So it was exciting, noisy. And it was just, they just kept going back and forth. A lot of turnovers. It was crazy. And then in the third quarter, into the third period, they the other team just took a different tact and started drawing fouls where they weren't doing it. Like it looked like they were trying to win the old fashioned way. And then we're going to play a little dirtier. And their point guard was drawing fouls like fucking great. We've talked about this before. I'm not a huge basketball guy, but they definitely modeled themselves after the way pro ball is played now. And I know a lot of basketball people. I think we were talking about this not too long ago.
Pro basketball is fucking horrible.
How broken it is.
It's horrible.
But the kids play like that. And it's hard to watch. And I was telling Graydon, this is why Major League Baseball got into trouble and had to implement the pitch clock.
Love it. Love the pitch clock.
Right? Because this is like, there's constant, Colin, I'm not even exaggerating, 40 different foul shots, maybe 20 per team in the last 2 quarters plus the last 3.
Jeez. Yeah, overtime. And it gets crazy at the end of a basketball game when everyone starts, especially in a close basketball game.
Crazy.
And they lost. Minutes take. It's too bad.
And then they ended up losing a nail biter by like a point or 2.
Yeah,
so it was kind of heartbreaking. Could have went in any direction. You know what I mean? Type of thing.
Yeah, sure.
So the season just ended. So I was texting you like, oh shit, like I'm still here. I was supposed to be home like 20 minutes ago.
No, it's all good. And then I texted you because I was like, well, we're supposed to get really bad weather. I think up by you too, but maybe not. But we're supposed to get really bad weather.
I think so.
The next couple of days, and I was like, I really should bring the dogs out for a walk, so because they might not get out of the house for the next few days.
Is it like a thing with you and my, like I know my family, like if I don't walk Kiki, no one's walking Kiki.
Oh yeah, no, I walk the dog. I only walk.
Yeah.
Micah will come with me sometimes.
Okay,
but I used to walk them together, and they want different things on walks. So what I basically do now is I just walk Rush, and then I come back and I walk Treble.
Oh, separately.
Yeah. And it gets me out of the house a little bit more, That's they just cool. They're just different. And so it's like so annoying doing them, together. And
listen, the children are getting one-on-one time.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Right?
That's exactly
quality
right.
time.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like I like going for walks with the dogs, and I feel bad in the summer. Like by May, it'll be like fucking
too hot.
Dude, what was with the weather the other day? I don't know if you it literally snowed. It was 87 degrees one day. The next day it snowed.
That's insane.
And we had I was saying this on the show. I think actually we had an accumulation in the backyard. Like after halfway through the show, we take a break before we get into the games we're playing, and then we wrap it up or whatever with the last couple hours. So I go downstairs and I like to see what Mike is doing and go pee and shit like that. And like I looked in the backyard, and we had like 2.5 or 3 inches of snow probably on the ground. I'm like, it's fucking snowing. Then I go back upstairs, and then I come back down. Half the snow had melted. Like in that.
What was this? Friday?
Thursday. Thursday. Yeah. And then And then the next day, it was just nice again, as if it never happened. I'm like, I've never seen anything like that in my entire life.
So the weather is so strange, man.
Very strange. Yeah. But now it's supposed to rain, and we have like a tornado warning and stuff like that here.
Oh, do you really? No, I don't think we have that.
And that's also a legendary moment in Sacred Symbols history, because we had a tornado warning here once, and I just kept recording through my phone was going off and all that kind of stuff, and nothing ever happened. Like, we didn't lose power or like anything happened, but it was just hysterical. I'm like, no, we're doing it. We're doing the show.
How unnerving is that tornado? Like the bad weather warning, that sound that they use on the phone?
I hate it. I hate it. It's
designed to be unnerving, but I know Thursday. Yeah, that was the day I walked Kiki before work, because I'm in Philly on Thursday. Walked her at 6 a.m, 74 degrees outside. I left work that night at 6 o'clock for the train. It was 36 degrees outside. Like the temperature dropped 40 degrees over the course of the day. Very strange. Didn't snow here though. I have to say it didn't snow here again since
it's
it was.
Weird times here in the spring. And by the way, just since the NBA came up, you'll also appreciate this.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, is that
please?
I was talking shit about the NBA recently, about how bad the NBA is, and how it's like a thing, like with people, like where they're
even
like,
I get it.
And it reminded me. I had this specific situation where it reminded me that no matter what you say, right, like people will argue with you about it. And I had like multiple people write in and be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The NBA is better than ever. And I'm like,
I really don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to this.
I'm not a huge fan, but it's like I am.
But you do.
Yeah, I'm a sports fan, and I'm like, it just reminded me, like, people will argue about anything, because I'm like, I want you to understand something. This is maybe the most discussed topic in all of sports.
Yeah.
For like the last 5 years, is how bad the NBA is and how horrible it is. And still people will actually argue as if not only is that not true, but I'm the only one saying it. That was like the weirdest part to me. And it was funny because we were watching it. We turn the TV on when we're eating dinner, and we sit in the kitchen or whatever. And then I have ESPN on almost all the time, like when the TV's on.
Yeah.
And there was an NBA game on, and I literally looked up for it for 5 seconds, and someone was just traveling. And I was like, all right, well.
That's the other thing. Even something completely uneducated like myself knows that it's a big problem. And the kids, I have a 15-year-old. The kids model themselves after what these players are doing, because this is I would imagine though, the people arguing with you on that point, you're a man in your, early 40s. I would imagine it's a generational thing where younger people who only know the game that way, I would imagine, are arguing with you. I could tell you from a Philadelphia perspective, and this may have to do with the Sixers being basement dwellers as far as achieving the last few seasons, but the ticket prices are a lot lower than they were.
Yeah, well, the NBA, and I think this year is a little bit of a rebound, pardon the pun. But I think like their ratings have been, and like their draw has been like at an all-time low.
Across the board? Across the league?
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm sure there are teams that still draw, like maybe the Lakers or
Knicks,
whatever the hot ticket is.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny, because I'm like, I know that what I'm saying about this, even though I don't really watch the NBA anymore, is like factually true. And like people will just argue about anything. And yeah, maybe you're right though. Maybe it's like, oh, they're like, young, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, what is NBA basketball? And they're like, well, everyone throws 3-pointers and shoots 3-pointers and no one dribbles. And I'm like, oh, well, then I understand why.
That's how you know the game.
Into that sport.
Right, exactly.
All right. Well, let's go back. You know what was a great year for NBA? 1989, because a lot of people think that 85 to like 2000 NBA is like prime bet NBA.
Who was 89? Bulls? Were they the dynasty?
I don't know who won in 1989. Let's see. Yeah, that would have been I think the Pistons never won, I don't think, but they were like in their NBA champion 1989. Oh no, the Pistons won. It was what is he? Can you just tell me who was in the game?
Bulls might have been earlier than that.
Oh yeah, Pistons beat the Lakers 4-0. Pat Riley was the coach of the Lakers at that time.
Oh wow, I do remember that. I remember him. He's so iconic.
Yeah, I knew that like the Pistons in like 88, 89, 90, 91, I think were like really good. Anyway, The Wizard came out December 15th, 1989. So
that
actually
late? I didn't realize that. Holy shit.
So actually into the 1989-1990 NBA season. The next season.
Sure. Yeah.
Made for a modest $6 million, about a little more than doubled it up at the box office. So successful film. Didn't do too crazy. $14 million-ish unadjusted.
Okay.
directed by Todd Holland. I don't know anything about this guy. I was reading about him, but he's directed a shit ton of television. But he's only done a few films. I was interested in that he did the film Krippendorf's Tribe, which I actually saw in the theater with Dad. That's that weird semi-sad children's comedy with Richard Dreyfuss and Jenna Elfman, where like
look this up.
He's like an archaeologist, and he convinces his kids to like help him fake like an archaeological dig, which they do in their backyard, and make it seem like he's like more successful than he is. It's actually a pretty interesting. It's actually a pretty interesting film.
Dreyfuss, that's a weird era for him.
And I think it's because like his wife gets divorced, and like that's how he like spends time with his kids. Is like they're doing all this fake archaeology, but like I think he's trying to sell it as being real. I think that was what it was about. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I kind of like that plot.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool idea, and yeah, it's like Richard Dreyfuss when he was started to like take the easier money. You know,
sure, yeah.
So he directed that. I thought that was interesting, and then I saw he directed like a couple episodes of Twin Peaks. He directed some of the episodes of that really obscure early 90s like sci-fi horror show Erie, Indiana. Do you remember that show?
No, but I don't remember it technically, but I do remember it being a thing.
I rented it on like Netflix disc back in the day because I think it's only one season. So it was like a few discs or whatever. He did like a shit ton of the Larry Sanders Show, which is hysterical.
Yeah, that's
I love that show. My So-Called Life, Felicity, Friends, Malcolm in the Middle, 30 Rock. I think he's kind of retired-ish now, but so this was one of his only films.
Yeah.
And of course it stars Fred Savage in Fred Savage, 87 to 92. That's Fred Savage's time.
Oh, he owned the world.
Yeah. The Princess Bride in 87, Little Monsters in 89, Wonder Years, 88 to 93. And then of course his seminal role later on in Goldmember. 2002.
Can I just tell you, dude, I just watched that like a half hour ago just to refresh my memory on it. Can we just, Mike Myers, what happened?
I don't know. It's so frustrating.
What happened? So those three movies, we're talking about the Austin Powers movies, obviously, all the way through the third one, which, Freddie Savage. Mm-hmm. Can we just call him Kevin Arnold?
I wrote that in my notes.
I refuse to even call him Fred Savage at this point.
Scrote.
AKA Scrote. But dude, Fred Savage, we'll get into him, but it's like he's like an icon of the 80s bleeding into the 90s. It was all about him. It really was.
Yeah, he was great. He's great. Like he's a great actor, and he plays Kevin Arnold in all of his roles. That's what I realized. Like the way he screams and yells and gets upset. He's he's a nice kid, but he's a troubled kid. He's like,
yeah,
it's the same. Like he's
same
Kevin
character,
Arnold. And it's frankly the same in The Princess Bride.
Yeah,
Little Monsters I've seen, but I don't really remember it very well.
I don't remember that either.
So it's funny. He's a child actor. He doesn't have like a lot of range, but he's good.
He is good. He's very charming. He's got that old soul. Like, he's a little bit neurotic, right? Like not quite Woody Allen or Larry David neurotic, but he's got a little bit of that. Like he's slightly ahead of the curve compared to his peers. Doesn't necessarily make him smart. It just kind of makes him like anxious.
Right.
But he does. Thank you for saying that. Like he's Fred Savage is always playing Fred Savage. It just worked so well, especially playing a kid growing up in the 60s. On TV over the course of 5 seasons or whatever it was, 5 or 6 seasons. Yeah.
And the hell of I love that. I mean, we cite that show all the time. I mean, that show is extraordinarily good. And I know they tried to bring it back. I think they did for a couple seasons more recently. Is it with a black family?
You know what? I think it was.
Maybe Hispanic or something like that.
No, I think it was a black family.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's cool. I really don't, I just get more disturbed by the fact that and I was actually at dinner last night with like the family, like mom, and it was like a St. Patrick's Day dinner or whatever.
Oh, nice.
And we had brought this up for some reason. It's like, it's just crazy to think that like there's really only a 20-year difference from when the Wonder Years is being told. And that means that like doing a show now about like would be like taking place in 2005 or 2006.
That's so crazy. That is so crazy to me. I know, like growing up, like I was born in 73, like 1950 was only 23 years before that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Back 23 years, it's 2003.
Yeah, you'd be in early Mad Men era.
Like what? It's so weird. Like it just doesn't. It's the same technically, but it just doesn't seem the same.
It doesn't make any sense. Time moves a lot quicker now, and I think it's different. It's just 20 years ago from now is crazy. 20 years ago is like no iPhone.
Yeah, no, 100% no iPhone.
People were still on dial-up. Not a lot. I mean, people were getting more and more off of it, but yeah, like things have just changed a lot. So he's in there. We have this child actor, Luke Edwards. He's in a shit ton of things, but I don't know much about him. The things that I pulled out where he was in the, I don't know if you remember this film, the 1994 movie Little Big League, which I loved.
Don't know.
There was like a bunch of baseball and like sports movies in the, like from 90 to 95 or 96. Like Mighty Ducks is in there. And this is one of those, you know, like a Rookie of the Year when the kid like breaks his arm and becomes like an MLB pitcher, like that kind of shit. Like I love that shit. Or Ladybugs when the kid dresses up as a girl to play in like the girls' soccer team. That's with Rodney Dangerfield. And the kid that I think killed himself is in that movie, right?
Oh, I think you're right. That's a good call out, that specific movie. You're right, though. Those are those movies were all for you guys. They were all for the millennials because the Gen Xers, like this movie, we were just slightly too old for it.
Right, exactly. And Little Big League was one of those. And I recall it was about the twins. And it was about how a kid like became the owner of the twins through like someone died and left him. So it's like, so he becomes like calling the shots for the twins or whatever. And that, like these movies were so fun, you know. So cool. The Wizard is kind of one. It's not sports related, but it's branded in a similar way, and it's one of those films. So Luke Edwards was in that, and also he was in a very obscure, I think it was an HBO exclusive movie called Cheaters, which came out in 2000, and it's actually a really great movie. I used to watch it.
Oh, you've seen this?
Yeah, I've seen this movie.
I read about it, but I never even heard of it.
I didn't know about the real story of it until after it, but it's about like in the mid 90s, like some school, I think in Illinois, maybe cheated on like this decathlon, like this academic decathlon with the help of their teacher. And this movie's about that. It's like a recreation of that. And it's like really good.
Not the gotcha reality show Cheaters.
Yeah, I wish it was that.
All obsessed with.
That's Tommy Grand and Joey Greco.
Joey Greco is the guy he got stabbed.
Yeah, he got stabbed in the boat and thrown into the water. Dude, we loved Cheaters. You and I loved Cheaters, and PJ loved Cheaters.
PJ, yeah. That was our thing.
And it's a shame to like look back on it and like be like, yeah, this was probably fake, but probably sometimes fake and then sometimes not fake. Obviously, Joey Greco did get stabbed, like something went awry there. But yeah, remember the original host was Tommy Grand. It was like a totally different random
I remember
dude.
Him. Yeah.
And this is true. The first DVD I ever bought was Cheaters, like Best of Cheaters Volume 1.
I love that.
Like when I think I even bought it, you know, when new PS2 was coming out, people started buying DVDs.
Yeah,
that's like a famous thing people did back then, like because they were so cheap. And I think that was like, I bought that at FYE or something.
Oh, dude, that's a proper way to usher in the DVD era. I'm very proud of you for that. That's a great way to start.
It's like absurd, you know, like that's probably in all my shit that's at your house.
That is hilarious.
Because I gave away, I had DVDs in California and I ended up giving them all away.
Oh, did you really?
I gave them to like, you know, Goodwill or whatever. Like they're kind of worthless. It's like, what do I even have these for? Like who gives a shit?
I get it.
But my first generation run of DVDs from like 2000 to 2005, whatever, I still have all of those and I have a lot of them. And I think those are probably all at your house because they were so cheap. You could go to Best Buy and buy them for like $5 a piece sometimes, like the shitty paper cover ones.
Yeah.
You know,
they might have had the plastic tab that opened, but then they were flippable, like widescreen was on one side.
Right,
the actual format was on the other side.
And I used to love watching full screen for some reason, like a weirdo. I would like, I'm watching this in full screen. So we have Luke Edwards. We have Jennifer Lewis, who's I think Fred Savage is probably, Beau Bridges too is really famous, but
sure. Yeah.
She's pretty famous. She was in a shit ton of things, a lot of TV movies and stuff like that. But then she ended up becoming kind of like a musician as well. And so I think over time, she kind of slowly dropped doing acting, and I think maybe 20 years ago almost completely stopped. But she's in a band called Rilo Kelly, and she's been in that band for like 25 years, I think.
I never even knew that. Dude, can I just tell you, like that band, just in researching her, and I love like indie rock.
Yeah, like the Sundays.
Yeah. Female lead singer. That's my whole shit. Mm-hmm. I never even heard of Rilo Kiley. And the fact of like, they were going big like 15 to 20 years ago, like playing Kimmel and stuff like that.
Right.
Something didn't quite take off, although I read briefly that they did a reunion tour last year. I'm not sure how that went off, but I listened to the one track, which I guess was like their biggest push into getting big, which was called Silver Lining. And dude, it's like really good. And she's like a really good vocalist. So I was like really shocked. not only that, but she looks the same, just like a 30-year-old, 30-something-year-old version.
Yeah, she does look the
of
same.
This little kid, But you know what I remembered about her and watching this movie? She seems so familiar to me. I should say, I've only seen this movie once before we watched it for the show. I don't think I saw it theatrically. Again, Gen X. Most of Gen X was slightly too old for this. I was 16. I thought I would be safe saying I was 15 because I was born so late in the year, but I was actually 16 when this came out. So let's say I saw it in 90 and 91 once it went to home video. I was like, where do I know her from? Then reading about her, it's like, yeah, she was in literally every My Little Pony, Barbie, and cereal commercial in the 80s. Maybe even dating back to the 70s. But in the 80s, she was like a mainstay on every television commercial for every kid product you could imagine, especially for girls. Like a face, like she would, like you would recognize her. You would stop short of knowing her name. That was it growing up in the 80s. So I do remember her from all those commercials, all the Hasbro stuff and Mattel stuff and breakfast cereals and everything. I don't remember her from any other movies though.
Yeah, like well, when you look at her filmography, it does seem like she she was in like a lot of TV films and stuff like that. So like things you wouldn't have known, and then like things like she was in a random episode of The Golden Girls, and she was in the Twilight Zone remake, and
could see that.
Yeah, all that
just
kind of stuff.
Just a little character actor type thing going on. Definitely After School Special. Like she kind of like reeks of that whole era where it was like the made for TV movie. She was probably all over that.
Yeah, and she it's funny because she basically by the mid-aughts was almost done. She does like some one-off things here and there, but I think she just kind of leaned into music. But you're right about all the commercial stuff, the Toys R Us commercials and all the rest. It's interesting. And she's very typical. Like the red, just her being a redhead, I think is like there's something very 80s about that. I don't know why it feels.
There really is.
There's something like differentiated about her that makes sense in the place and time. So we have her. We have Beau Bridges, Jeff Bridges' brother, older brother.
The dude's brother.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I mean, how crazy is that?
He's obviously got he's in a shit ton of things. Like I was even reading a lot of it and I was like, I don't even know, man. Like where you even begin.
His filmography just keeps scrolling. You know what's weird though, Kyle? I'll tell you something about Beau Bridges because you know that name. It's such a name, and then you know Jeff Bridges and the whole thing. But it's like, and they came from a very Hollywood family. I think both their parents were actors or they were involved in, TV and movies. But I don't think since the advent of KnockBack have I looked at a filmography that just kept scrolling where I was like, I haven't seen any of these things.
Right.
Not one thing on TV or theatrically, except for Jerry Maguire, which he apparently was in uncredited. So I was just like, what is going on with this guy? That's funny. We'd never crossed paths.
He's in Sidekicks. I remember that. I saw that in the theater with Dad. That's like that Jonathan Brandis movie with Chuck Norris.
I don't know this movie. Dad, you know what's dawning on me since we started talking a half hour ago? Dad's sort of like, he had a big movie theater presence from the late 80s, probably spanning the mid to late 80s through the early 90s. Maybe very late 80s.
He loves going to the movies. He loves watching movies.
He really, like, we went and saw all kinds of things that you would never even imagine seeing in the theater, and you had that same experience.
Like it was weird. Like we would go to in middle school specifically, so like 96, even earlier, like 90, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, probably like in that period, we would go to the movies like once a week. Like we would go to the movies all the time. Like it was a thing we did. Yeah. And like I've described in the past, sometimes we would even go and just see different things. Like when I was in middle school. And like I would just go into this movie and he would just go into this movie or whatever. We wanted to see different things. And I think he's still kind of in film, like watching movies and stuff like that. So yeah, he always loved renting a movie.
That's true.
He was into that. Like he looked forward to that. Because he's not a TV guy, as we've talked about many times, but he had no problem like watching,
Yeah,
movies.
You're right about that. Now maybe with him and Nancy, the TV series thing, the that sort of things on the various subscription services that we all watch. But yeah, definitely a movie guy. 100%.
And then of course, Christian Slater. Now this is peak Christian Slater as well. In 89, he had 5 different movies come out, including Heathers, which is his seminal movie, in my opinion. I fucking love that movie.
Iconic.
I love that movie. And Gleaming the Cube, which I know must be a movie you saw in the theater, I assume.
Not afraid to do the art film, not afraid to take the paycheck and do the shitty film.
Right.
Really interesting dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Gleaming the Cube is we should do that movie at some point. That's a strange.
We have to.
That's a strange one.
It is. It really is.
But yeah, he was peak. You know, he's great. And Christian Slater is always playing Christian Slater as well. And that's what, I can't even do it. Like I can hear it in my head, like the way he, like his chucklehead smile and like his, like, he's great. He's just great.
He's got a very specific affect. Now, I don't want to say Matthew McConaughey because that's special, but a brand like that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It's always hit. I mean, for me, Christian Slater will always be Clarence Worley from True Romance. I mean,
sure.
Quentin Tarantino script. Tony Scott directed that movie. It's an iconic role. It's a great story. The whole road movie thing. But every time Christian Slater pops up in a film, I think about Interview with a Vampire for him too, even though he kind of just bookends that movie.
Yeah, right.
He's not in it a lot. But I think of those iconic roles, but every time he's in something, I try to figure him out. And I'm just like, yes, he has this very James Dean-like qualities, obviously handsome. He's got he's got a lot of charm. He's got a lot of charisma, but there's just something different about him. And I was thinking, really watching him in this movie, and it dawned on me, he's got like this slight, very subtle, like overgrown Slytherin quality to him. Like slightly sinister, even when he's not playing a sinister role. It's those fucking eyebrows, dude.
Yeah.
His eyebrows just point down, even when he's not angry. You know what I mean? It gives him a very specific physical quality. Besides, like he's like a dude. I haven't seen Mr. Robot, and I think he was in The West Wing too. You could correct me if I'm wrong. So I have a very nostalgic.
Yeah, is he in The West Wing?
I think he did a turn in that show, if I'm not mistaken. So he's done more contemporary things.
Oh, Jack Reese. Oh, so yeah, about midway through the run. Okay. Yeah, he's in 3 episodes. Yeah, that's right. Okay, wow.
Right. So he's done a lot of more contemporary things, but I have a very nostalgic take on him because I haven't seen these other things besides knowing about them. But very, very interesting filmography in film and television. Very weird. He's almost got, I hate to say it, but he's almost got this Nicolas Cage-like thing where he'll take the good role and roll the dice, and he'll take the role and just for the paycheck. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem to have a lot of druthers, unless he just has trouble picking things or just thinks everything's going to be amazing or of a parody in terms of quality. I don't know. But he's very interesting to me because I think you don't see him a lot. So it's always interesting to see him pop up, but that's what I really enjoyed him in this. I mean, I think Fred Savage, I think Jenny Lewis is really good in this. I think the guy who plays the bounty hunter,
Will Seltzer,
right? I think there's an acting quality that adds some gravitas to a movie that's otherwise a little bit all over the place. Kind of a hot mess of a movie. But they add it, they ground it. Those performances ground it a little bit. And Christian Slater is definitely one of those dudes.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Putnam too. We'll talk about him, but the Will Seltzer character, I think it's so weird. I was wondering, like, does he really even need to be in it? In a way,
so weird. They just needed to give them a foil.
Yeah,
like it needed to be a race.
And he's like he didn't do very many things apparently. So like this is like one of his random roles, which is weird because he's got a very like interesting look and he's not bad.
He's good.
Yeah, he's just not. It's just a weird character. It's just a weird.
It's weird casting.
Yeah,
for a bounty hunter, right? You think of bounty hunters, you think of all the iconic bounty hunters, whether it's Boba Fett or Dog, right? But this is also a road movie. I have to bring this up now because I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
There was a road movie that I love called Midnight Run. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I don't think so. I know it, but
the prior year from '88. It's Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. And Charles Grodin plays this sort of rogue, sort of inauspicious mafia accountant who goes on the lam, and De Niro's a bounty hunter who has to bring him back. And there's a foil bounty hunter that's racing De Niro for the bounty. And when you see this guy, I don't know the actor's name, but when you see this guy, it just makes so much sense for a bounty hunter. He's grimy, he's sneaky, he's clever, but he's not clever enough to be one step ahead of De Niro. De Niro's always one step ahead of him. And it just, when you see, he's the shotgun toting like bad guy, you know. This bounty hunter is such a weird choice. He kind of looks like a nerd.
Yeah,
he's got the
does.
bolo tie. I'm trying to get a beat on this, the casting of this character, which kind of makes it fun and interesting, but it's very strange. It's like, what is this guy's deal?
The Wikipedia article suggests, uncited, so like who knows, that he was one of the final choices for Luke Skywalker, which is interesting. I don't know if that's true.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So it's like you're on tenterhooks at that point. You're like, damn, dude, I almost made it. If you know that about yourself, you're like, I almost like changed my entire life, but here I am playing Putnam with my bolo tie.
Talk about life altering.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about that. But yeah, like it was a weird character, because I was really thinking, I'm like, you could kind of just remove all. I guess I was and we'll get into it, but I was especially interested in that this movie had a shit ton of unused footage. Did you watch any of it? I actually did last night watch it. Oh, I did.
I did not.
There's a reel, someone like put it was so on the Blu-ray, I guess, from 2020. It's the first time that any of this shit had been seen or whatever. And I was talking to Mike about it because we were watching it. So someone ripped it on YouTube and put it all together or whatever. And so it's just like in sequential order of like where the clip should be. And I was trying to figure out in my head, I'm like, it's so crazy that they filmed so much, like 40 minutes of shit that they cut together, but didn't like put in the final film. So it even has like blocking and like all sorts of different things, like different cuts, like of a close up and then back and like panning and like some complicated shots with like cranes and like the panning shot at golden hour, looking at the skyline and all this stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, it's interesting. So I was fascinated by that, because I was like, I wonder what could have been cut to fit more of this in. And I'm like, it might have been all of the Putnam stuff, because like what you would find out, Dig, if you go watch the footage, is that there's like most of it is from before the kid even runs away, that there's like this whole thing that they set up. And
it's like
the movie feels so weird. Like I like this movie. It's very nostalgic. It's got good performances in it. It's fun.
It's got its charms,
but it is very weird when you think about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the weirdness comes from the things that they cut, I think. There, like, for instance, like there are like lots of scenes with like Fred Savage, Kevin Arnold, and his friends, like, that you never see in the show. Like, he has like a group of friends. And like there's like a bunch of scenes with them, like at the arcade and at his house and all that kind of stuff. Like they sneak Jimmy into their house at one point to like play games. Like there's all these things. Like there's this stuff where Corey like brings Jimmy runs away like a little bit. Corey brings him back to like the mom's house and like runs away and like establishes all the stuff with the dad about how he's like kind of a lowlife. And it's interesting. So I was just fascinated by what they could cut. And like the whole like Will Seltzer IG-88 sort of, it's like second best bounty hunter thing was maybe one of those.
Totally. It sounds like it could have benefited from the extra context, where it was weird, because I did read that Todd Holland really fought against, because I think the studio wanted it to be long and wanted all that extra footage put in. I don't know if that was just justifying the overhead, where it was like, we shot all this, it needs to go into the film. And Todd Holland, especially being a big TV guy, knows that like every second counts, and he's used to keeping it brisk and keeping things moving. So maybe he wanted to just say, look, let's not go over long. Let's not jump the shark. But I think this movie does feel like it's missing stuff, right? And it could use more context. It could use a little more perspective. It moves too fast. It seems to gloss over things. So it could have been maybe benefited from having at least some of that another 40 minutes would be ridiculous for this movie, but at least cherry pick some stuff in there to flesh out the characters and the business, and the relationships and stuff, because it's it's a little obtuse the way it is right now.
Well, I was even confused about it in the beginning, because I watched the movie once through, we just watched it, and then the second time I watched it, I took notes or whatever, and
that's
I immediately stopped at like 10 minutes in. I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck they're talking about. Like, so the boys, well, Jimmy has had a twin sister, Jennifer, who died.
Yeah.
So like Fred Savage and Christian Slater, they share the dad with that kid, but the mom is different, and then she remarries, and the original mom's dead. And I'm like, but why is it so complicated? Like it's there's like a lot going on here.
Way too convoluted. It didn't need to have all that. It's too much. It's a mess.
It's a lot. And I was like, I was literally like, wait, but this doesn't make, because he's like, because there's some line, Corey. I was like, oh, is it because he's our half brother? And Micah made a really good point, which is so funny, which is like, she's like, but that's still his son. Like,
right,
it's
100%.
your half brother. Like, what are you talking about? It's not his half anything. Like, he would care just as much about him, presumably, as you. It didn't make any sense.
What that was. Yeah. You just had to have the smarmy stepdad, the smarmy, rich, obnoxious stepdad in there, which is a very 80s trope, right? I don't know. Was that a formula for that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's strange. But anyway, let's get into, we'll go through the movie itself. But what I was curious. I was in kindergarten when this came out, I believe. So I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on tape, and I actually also remember vaguely it being on TV. Mm-hmm. Like they would show it, I think, on maybe Nickelodeon or something. I don't know, maybe not Nickelodeon, but maybe like something like Disney Channel or something. But I remember seeing it in that context too. And then I do very clearly, and this is funny because I remember this very well, is that I rented it on DVD, like a disc on Netflix in, I want to say, 2007. And the reason that I remember that is I had just moved to San Francisco, and during, which we'll get to in the show, in this show, but the Send Me an Angel like scene, I can't wait to talk about this. I love that song. I mean, I fucking love that song, and
it's amazing.
And it comes from this, where I was like, I knew that song, but I was like, wait, what? And I remember that montage playing when I rented it. And I was like, damn, this is fucking awesome. And so I remember that so well because that's how I discovered Real Life, which is a new wave band from Australia that I really, really like. They do a lot of really good shit. Catch Me I'm Falling is such a great song from that same record.
I forgot they did that.
Yeah.
I knew they had to have another like iconic single at least.
And they have a lot of good stuff later too. Like they did a song called Babies, which is really good. And they're good. I like them personally, but they're pretty obscure. But that's why. So that was the last time I saw The Wizard for sure, was 2007. So it's been almost 20 years, and I really didn't remember very much of it, to be honest. So I remember the end very well because that was so iconic and fun. But even that I didn't remember quite. Like I remember the video of Armageddon being a bigger spectacle than it actually is. Like when I was a kid, I was like, it's one big, huge screen and like a big thing comes. I don't know why I remember that. So what do you remember about this film? So you were in high school. You would have remembered this more. Do you remember the time in which it came out? And it's like one of those mystery marketing pieces from Nintendo that no one really knew was specifically marketing. It's the same thing we feel about Nintendo Power and how I say that all the time. Like we didn't really know that they owned it. I mean, I'm sure someone knew, like, and people were talking about it somewhere and they would rather read EGM or something like that. But I was a Nintendo Power kid. I loved it. And I didn't realize it was like marketing material. And this is another example of that, which is why I'm so surprised by some of the things in the movie and how Nintendo has virtually no presence in the credits either. Like and none of the companies do. There's one person cited as like the Nintendo, advisor. And I'm like, but there's like Konami games in this and Capcom games and like no one, they were just doing whatever they wanted. It's very un-Nintendo from that perspective. So what are your remembrances of the time?
Yeah, I think that's a funny point because I think this was an era where Nintendo North America, at least, their marketing, I don't want to say floundering, but it was still finding itself, right? At least in the United States or the North American territories, which is interesting. And that's a thing to remember. Like, that's one of the things that makes this movie so legendary is that, yeah, you got Freddie Sav in there, but this is obviously ultimately a vehicle to promote a video game. And that's why it's on every nerd's radar this side of Gen X, But what's cool about this movie, and which doesn't happen often for us on KnockBack, is that I had only seen it one time. It wasn't like Ninja Turtles where we just did, 5 or 6 weeks ago, where it's like I've seen that movie at least a dozen times. Never mind the things that I've seen over 100 times, like the original Star Wars trilogy or something. So this is one thing that I could sit down and be surprised by, which is fun because I really had no memory of it. I know I've seen it once. And I don't think I saw it theatrically. I do think it was on home video. Best guess was that it was the early 90s when I finally sat down to watch it, just thinking probably even after the Super Nintendo came out in late 90, 91, where it was like, this was already, things moved so fast at that point, especially when you're that age. It was like, wow, look back at Nintendo and the Super Mario Brothers 3 thing and how goofy it is. And from my very mid-teen perspective, it was kind of a comedic thing, if nothing else. But watching it now, it is weird for a lot of reasons, right? You got, whether it's the weird jump cuts or the strange characters or the weird dialogue or the obtuse bits of information that don't ever really seem to add up to anything, which, I could have probably benefited from watching those things that were, eventually added back in, that extra footage. But just knowing that this was ultimately something that Nintendo sanctioned and approved to promote their video game, and largely leading up to the end of the movie to promote their hardware, whether it was via the Power Glove or third-party games or whatever. It's really interesting. Like, you have to, whether you're a millennial nerd or a Gen X nerd, like, you can't not come through this movie. It's part of like pop culture, nerd culture. It's a necessity, right? You have to know it. You have to see it. You have to realize what it was. It's a very specific nod to a very specific bygone era where I feel like Nintendo would never promote a video game through a story about some little kid's PTSD, essentially. Like this movie is based on a little kid and his trauma over his twin sister dying, and this, the family thereby breaking apart. That's a very 80s thing. That was probably an idea that bled over from the 70s, where it was like, we could make the drama, the human element is something. We don't necessarily have to make it fun. We have to base this on something realistic and maybe that was because you want to have the fun elements in there, right? Like stowing away on the hostess truck, Universal Studios, the video games, playing arcade machines, all that kind of stuff. So you got the kids. Now you want to get the adults in, so you get the human story, the dramatic element, the relatability, the divorce, the broken family. Maybe that was the tactic. You cast a wider net. I'm not sure. And it's not beholden to this one movie, but this movie is emblematic of something from the 80s where it was like, yeah, Nintendo signed off on this to promote their video game, but it's a very strange thing to have to promote your video games. It's a very strange vehicle for it.
Yeah, it is. Like, you're right. Not everything is of the highest quality at that time that Nintendo does, like outside of games. I think of Captain N, for instance. It's very strange.
Great point.
Same time frame. But at least it was somewhat cogent in that it's like this, it's all this crossover, and you got this fucking weird ass version of Simon Belmont. You got this weird ass version of Mega Man. You got this weird ass version of Pit and all these different things. But it's like, yeah, okay, this like almost as if it was made by people. It's like the Mega Man 2 box art and how the guy said he based it on a screenshot. It's the same thing. Like, you imagine Captain N was like, they vaguely explained like all these different video games to them, and they're like, so you got to make a cartoon based on this. But it made sense. And the same thing with like remember the Zelda and Mario cereal and all the lunch boxes and backpacks and all of the rest. And then I think Nintendo didn't really get gun shy until the Mario movie. And I think at that point they were like, oh no.
The Mario live action movie.
Yeah. And then at that point they just disappeared. They it wasn't until Pokemon, I really feel like, that they started to come back and be like, all right, like we'll have merchandise again, and we'll because it was really kind of the last half of the SNES era into the N64 era. There wasn't a lot of Nintendo was kind of on the decline in a lot of ways, and they didn't really market themselves the same way anymore because they got it really is, as far as I know, seriously all centrally about that movie, and them getting scared off. But this was a few years before that, so they were still. Listen, they were still kind of experimenting, rolling the dice on things. I mean, it was really only until very recently where they found their footing in terms of confidence and being in the black, and maybe the economic successes reaching a pinnacle where it was like they could embrace their history, even the misses, like the Virtual Boy. Like the Virtual Boy being on Virtual Console, right? Right.
They would have never done that 10 years ago. They just want to bury the idea that ever existed. It wasn't until, which I think is a very charming, very kind of cool thing for Nintendo to see with Nintendo, that it's like they finally realized you can't bury things. You have to acknowledge them and I think a lot of that was in terms of like their success can't be doubted. And they've had peaks and valleys in terms of success. But it was definitely in the last 5 years, it was like, let's just honor the past, even the things that weren't necessarily successful or looked fondly upon. And I like that. I like that because you have to, that's the history of a company that's really a fascinating company. But I love this era because it's still new for them, especially here, not in, outside of Japan. Everything's new to them as far as turning their IP into other things and sort of taking it and folding it into pop culture in other ways besides just the game software and hardware themselves, which is a really neat era, but it's definitely, I don't want to say it's a boneheaded move because I love that they were playing around with things and experimenting, but I could never see them even a little later on using this as a vehicle to promote their video games. But again, I think that maybe that was a way to put fannies in the seats that were older than 10 years old.
Yeah,
right?
True. And I think it's funny, like it is full circle really right now with just, it took, like think about it, like I think between the early 90s Mario movie and then like the first Mario animated movie, there was basically nothing in film. And so they really have only just felt like they've recovered from that. And even though that movie is not really critically acclaimed, it made an enormous amount of money. It's obviously getting a sequel. And then I think one of the ultimate unspoken handshakes in games recently is Sony and Nintendo working together on the Zelda movie. Now I know it's not PlayStation, but it's Sony Pictures.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and it is. Like those companies have, it's funny, how like there are like wives' tales and stories and all sorts of industries about like how this crazy thing and this bad thing and how these companies feel about each other. And then you realize like, oh, maybe it really wasn't all like that. Like I'm pretty sure that not only is the beef between Nintendo and Sony true going back to CES 1991, but that it's even worse than it's been reported. And so like to see it softening, like Sony basically tried to kill Nintendo for that. Like that was like a revenge tour. The PlayStation, like the whole thing.
Sure.
Like, it was literally like, look at what these guys just did to us.
And it could have worked.
Yeah. And like, it almost did. And I'm so fascinated by like how Nintendo, if that CES thing went just a little differently and the PlayStation came out as an SNES piece of add-on hardware and all the rest, PlayStation might not never, and probably never would have existed the way it does now. So it actually is like a crazy inflection point in gaming history, maybe one of the biggest 3 or 5 inflection points in all of games ever. And so to see them come together, like I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because that's not nothing.
Right.
That's and Sony even putting some of their stuff on Nintendo. MLB The Show obviously has to be there by virtue of the license, but they put Lego Horizon on Switch and they put Everybody's Golf on Switch and Freedom Wars and things. It's like, wow, so this is unheard of. Because this was actually a recent story. I was always curious about this too, is that Sony's first internal studio was Psygnosis, which they bought in the early 90s before PlayStation even launched. And they ended up becoming Sony Liverpool. These are the guys that made Wipeout. And there are funny stories recently that were told where it's like, you might remember this, like Wipeout was on Nintendo 64. Wipeout came to Saturn.
I do remember that.
They did,
yeah,
like,
of course.
And then, but there's stories now like where people internally at Sony were like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like they were just basically operating on their own. Like someone basically just saw like an ad for Wipeout on N64 or whatever. I'm like, what are you doing? So it's so funny to like read back on those things and to see things soften. And so this is the other side of that coin with Nintendo, like when they were still powerful in a different way. And I also didn't realize, and I was reading a little bit about this, about we're so used to the delays in games coming out, especially at this time between Japan and the West. It would sometimes go, like if you look at the Dragon Warrior games, for instance, you're trailed sometimes by like 4 years at some point.
That's incredible.
They were just weird about that shit. And I was always curious why Mario 3 came out so much sooner. It was in, I think, 88 in Japan. We didn't get it until 90.
Right.
And so like, remember, this comes out December 89. And it's that next spring, I want to say, that Mario 3 comes out in the West. And it was a huge deal. I mean, I was a fucking huge fan of Mario 3. Tremendous. We all were. I mean, it was such a huge game. But apparently, like, they had planned on getting it out earlier, and like this opportunity to push it, I guess, was presented to them because they couldn't make cartridge ROM like and storage and stuff like that to the degree that they needed it. And I found that fascinating. So like I think they just kind of serendipitously became a thing for them. And,
yeah, it was a fortunate thing where they could, while they were, I mean, they weren't biding their time, they were trying their best, but they had that window of time to promote. So why not do it, you know, in a North American feature film where we could get American, you know, whet the appetites of American audiences. And super funny.
And it's like, I don't know if you remember, like you were older and you had more access to things, but it's funny to think that this was like the big reveal of Mario 3. And to me, I remember it being like really exciting and my friends like really exciting. And we were excited about the game. And then, you know, Nintendo Power was promoting it and then we finally got to see it. But they do note, I think it was in the Wikipedia article, they were saying like, there were people that were confused by it because they're like, this game, like we know about this game. Like it was in EGM or whatever.
That's the thing. It was EGM, right?
Right.
That
and it's like,
broke the news.
So like if you, like they imported it or whatever on Famicom. So it's like, if you knew that, I guess like it broke the whole spell, but I wasn't old enough to even know that.
I wasn't that cool.
Yeah, so you didn't know either, even though you
No, I probably, in retrospect, I probably knew kids with ties to not necessarily Japan, but the other Asian countries, maybe South Korean kids and stuff like that, or people with families still over there that would have known, but I just hadn't talked to them. Like we grew apart and stuff like that. So there were definitely people in my sphere that knew, I'm sure knew, but I definitely wasn't that cool. I mean, I wasn't reading the Japanese video game magazines and stuff until I got into college in the 16-bit era, let's say, like Super Play and stuff like that.
Right.
It was pre all that for me. And it was pre like Borders books where you had access to those things. A really cool domestic like neighborhood comic book shop. And there were some around. We'd have to have them on the odd occasion that they would carry those things. That was really the only way in the late 80s. And I was on the tip of that, but not quite there yet. So no, I had no idea. I was going to ask if this was the big SMB3 reveal for you, because for me, I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, I it's funny because I was of the age too where I'm like, I think what ended up happening was that people, maybe older kids, you know, again, my best friend growing up was a year older than me. His brothers were older than me by several more years. So like, and they were all gamers. So that a lot of the stuff trickled down, and you know, push comes, I think you remember this, is like they had Mario 3, like that family had Mario 3, and that's who we ended up, I think we ended up getting it later or something, I don't know, but and I obviously have my own like complete copy that I got on eBay in like 1997 or something like that, when games were fucking dirt cheap. But it's funny, it's like I think I might have just learned about it through people having seen the film, and then I think Nintendo Power was kind of synced up with it.
They were right behind. Yeah, they were right there with it. Yeah.
Because they even referenced, I mean, Nintendo Power is pretty specifically referenced multiple times in the movie, though not by name. And again, I don't understand why not.
Yeah, that's weird.
They're like, I have Power magazine. I'm like, Nintendo Power. Just say it. Like, you own it.
It's really
like
what?
And then like when they go to the game counselor's office, I don't know if that must be a set, I would assume, but it's what it looked like. Like if you look at old footage of them doing this stuff in the 80s, and then they have Nintendo Power, like, insert posters on the wall. I'm like, just say you're fucking Nintendo Power. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. It's really weird. But so I think, because what I remember digging so clearly about this, and I don't know, it's like when we used to play NES game, when the NES was in my bedroom, is like you would play Mario 3, we would both play it, but I was obsessed with trying to build airships out of Legos with
love that.
I had like, it's funny, man, like younger people probably don't realize this, is like licensed Lego sets are kind of new. I mean, like not that new anymore, but when I was a kid,
in the 80s.
Yeah, like that wasn't a thing. It was, you got like the Lego, you know, you got like the Lego bin with all the Legos in it, or you got like little sets like an airplane or a spaceship or castle. Right. And they were awesome. I loved them, but they weren't licensed. So like what I remember is that I got like some airplane ones. They all had like props. Like, and I don't mean props like things you would use on a play. I mean like plane props on like, you know, twin engine fucking Cessnas or whatever, you know, not a Cessna, but like a Saab or something, or like a Beechcraft. And so I remember using those as like the back propellers of like these big craft that I would make. And because I was obsessed with those stages, like the boss stages with like the cannons and all the things going off. So I remember building those, and Mario 3 became like kind of it's a touchstone for everyone that was around on NES at that time because it's one of the great games of all time. So it all kind of melded together. I'd be so fascinated to know more about like the experience of those who were like the cool. They weren't cool at all. They were huge nerds, but like the kids that like were privy to all this shit, and everybody like, oh, I knew about, because it's the same thing that happened later on with Mario All-Stars, which is amazing. I love Mario All-Stars on SNES. It's really one of the first collections ever. And
oh yeah,
we were like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? Like with Lost Levels,
right?
And even then they were cagey with Lost Levels, where they're like, I'm like, I remember being in middle school being like, so this is like, what is this? And then eventually like read Nintendo Power, or maybe it's even in the instruction manual. I was like, this is the real Mario 2. And then it gets into the whole joke, like we always make fun of it. Like, do you know Doki
Doki Panic?
Like that's like the most worn piece of trivia, but it's like at YouTube that time it was actually quite illuminating. Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Like, and then you realize like your Mario 2 is really an irrelevant game in Japan, and is this reskin, and it was kind of earth shattering in a way. And it was the first time it's the first of many times I became insulted by like the way the Japanese felt about us as gamers. Not just being like, these guys are not good. Like literally Lost Levels wasn't released apparently in the West because as Mario 2 because they're like, they're not good enough.
So
it's like, what are you fucking talking about?
They're not going to like it. It's too hard.
Yeah, it's too hard.
That whole notion.
And it's like, I don't understand why you would think we wouldn't want the same things you do, but there's no mystique anymore. That level of mystique was so interesting, back in the day.
That's the thing, dude. Yeah, that's what we talk about that a lot on the show, but we send up that era where you had to dig. You had to work for information. Like it was harder. It was, was a talk around the water cooler, or, in our case, the cafeteria or the arcade. Everything was rumors. Everything was based on these vague facts that your cousin heard. It was such an interesting time where, there was no internet. There was no way to vet any information. It was, and, hand in hand, you're saying like that era of generic Lego sets where using the power of your imagination to build something you're excited about that doesn't exist as a sanctioned set yet, that type of thing. I think what the most interesting thing about this movie and Nintendo's presence in this movie is it does seem to me, I don't know if you would agree with this, but it seems to me obviously, eventually it's to promote their new game that's coming out. I get it. But leading up to that moment at the very end, the last 10 minutes of the movie, it's all about promoting Nintendo hardware through cool shit, even if it's not first party Nintendo. The Power Glove, and we'll talk about Lucas, right? The Power Glove is not it's not a Nintendo first party thing. It's a Mattel periphery. The games that they're promoting, whether it's Capcom or Konami Ultra or Hudson or Tecmo, it's just some of the best games. Nintendo first party be damned. We just want you to be excited about these games so you buy our hardware. And the thing about Super Mario 3 that I never really thought about before is, yes, Nintendo first party, obviously iconic, legendary, mythological, amazing, whether it's Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, Metroid, Kid Icarus, all the games. But you thought about those games in terms of fun, in terms of inventiveness, and in terms of gameplay. Some of the other third-party developers like Capcom and Konami, especially Konami, were doing the games that were really first rate in terms of presentation, visuals, and graphics. Up until Super Mario 3 came out, Nintendo didn't really have, am I wrong about that? They didn't really have that first party thing where they were competing on that level with, I would say, certainly Capcom and Konami. I would put Tecmo in there and maybe Hudson Soft.
Sure.
In terms of graphics, they were just not on the same level as some of their third-party developers until Super Mario Brothers 3 came out, and they really pushed the boundaries of the NES as a console.
It's totally true. I think a lot of it, they had to rely on themselves early on. So they did a lot of their stuff, like a lot of those games, even like Ice Climbers and Balloon Fight and all that stuff. That's them, and they had to kind of produce and prove it. You had games like Kung Fu from IRAM and a few of these other odds and ends, but a lot of it was on them. And I think things kind of slowed down as they realized like the money is to be made when we're not investing all in the games themselves, but allowing people to publish on our platform. Still to this day, that's how you make money in games. And I think because it's funny the way they manage their portfolio in this where they do show, we see Mario 3 at the end. Obviously, they show Mario 2 pretty prominently. In the deleted scenes, they show a lot of Mario 2 as well. And Zelda 2. So I thought the weird first party game actually, and they only show it once, I think, is Metroid.
They show it once.
I think there's just a lot of weird shit. Like a lot of it is, it probably didn't really even make sense to anyone then that played games, but it certainly doesn't make sense now where it's like competitive, like you're competing and it's like she's on the phone at one point. She's like, all right, let's start with Simon's Quest.
Right. She talks about
Simon's
it. You never
Quest.
see it.
What the fuck are you talking about? And like, even like going after scores and Double Dragon and stuff, it's like, that's not, or at the end when they're trying to run up scores, it's like, why wouldn't you just see who could get the furthest in the game? Like, what doesn't that make sense?
I wanted to talk to you about this.
So it's funny.
The points thing.
But they, it's like, I was interested in that too. Like one thing I think I figured out at some point was that like Romstar, which is a distributor, Romstar was this company that existed. I think they were associated with SNK at some point, and then they kind of became more in like the arcade space. And I think Capcom ultimately bought them in the mid 90s. But like at this time, they were like an arcade distributor, and their shit is everywhere in this. So I feel like they're probably a player. And then it's like the Play Choice 10 was
all over the place.
Like all over the place. They even have the cocktail table where he's playing Ninja Gaiden at a cocktail table. That seems to be like a bespoke thing because that would be fucking. First of all, who wants to play Ninja Gaiden on a joystick? It's freaking retarded. Like some of the things they're doing, I'm like, why would you even want to do this? But yeah, so it is interesting the way they manage the games and the things that were big. And like what makes it very late 80s too is like the prominence of Ultra / Konami TMNT, not the arcade game, like the game that everyone hates. I like the TMNT, the game they showed personally.
I love that game.
I love that game too, but people fucking hate that game. I know it becomes from an anger of everyone's like, but this is not what we wanted. Like we actually didn't want you to make a unique game. We wanted the game from the arcades, and they're like, oh, okay. And then that became TMNT 2.
Right.
And so everyone was happy from there, but everyone was confused at that point.
Oh, it was such a confusing era, but I love it. I cherish it. Yeah, because it was weird.
Right, exactly.
It was a weird game.
And I also respect it. Like they were like, no, don't you want like something different? And everyone's like, no, not particularly.
No, not really.
So yeah, it is interesting to see that. And then like Mega Man 2 is pretty prominent in the game and is even more prominent in the deleted scenes. Like he, at one point, Corey talks about like fighting Airman or something like that. It's like very interesting.
Oh, interesting. Because there's not a lot of Capcom in the theatrical cut.
No.
Little bit.
And then there's some stuff too. I wrote it down. Like they show that game F1 Dream a few times.
Yes.
And it's funny because I'm such a nerd where I'm like, because I could identify the games. It's like, oh, Rad Racer. So Squaresoft's involved, which is kind of cool. RC Pro-Am's in the game, I think, for a little while.
It is.
But I saw this game and I'm like, I don't know what game that is, but I'm like, that's not an NES game. It's like way too good looking.
Yeah.
And then I went like, so I just watched the rest of the movie. Then I saw it again on the second playthrough. I'm like, I paused. I'm like, I gotta know what game is this? This is not an NES game. And it's like, I guess a racing game, an F1 racing game from that time, F1 Dream, I think it's called. And I think Romstar was distributing that game. It must have been their newest game because they show it multiple times and it must have been some sort of agreement. So even in the montage of them practicing, that game is shown. And I'm like, well, why would you be practicing this game? That's clearly not on the NES. It looks like a Genesis game.
That was part of the deal. Yeah, you see that in the background of Harrah's. Yeah, it's in the background of the diner, whatever, the various arcades, the pool hall, wherever they play. It's very weird. It's very interesting though to see what made it in and what. But it's so funny because you make a good point. Nintendo's just promoting Nintendo. Like, yeah, promote your third party developers. They're doing all the work, and you're making a lot of the money off of their work. So yeah, honor the good games. That's gonna sell consoles, right? Show Contra. Right.
Yeah,
it's
Contra's
like it makes
incredibly prominent in the game.
Of course, you want to show Contra. It's one of the best games.
Yeah, they definitely, and Double Dragon even, like Double Dragon's probably the worst of the games they show. And I love Double Dragon. The port is a little dicey, but it's funny how much the game focuses on Double Dragon. A lot of it
really does.
And it focuses on Ninja Gaiden. So like you said, Tecmo. And yeah, these are like the best. What's so interesting though, Dig, is when you get to the credits, and maybe I just missed it. I don't think so because I watched them twice and maybe I just spaced out or whatever. It's like, there's just no mention of any of this shit.
That's so
like,
funny.
I'm just so surprised by, I was watching because I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'll recognize any of these names. Like, I wonder if Howard Lincoln's in the credits or
sure, yeah,
like that. And it's not. It's like there's none of that. There's like a guy from Nintendo that's like the advisor, and then there's a Power Glove advisor or whatever, because that's obviously a separate. And that's the other thing. It's what you were saying too. Like Nintendo would never play that friendly with a third party peripheral today. Like I was reading, I knew I don't know if I even knew anyone that had the Power Glove, but a Power Glove apparently sold 1 million units. Which insane. Is like, are you? I almost don't even believe that. Like that sounds unbelievable. There's only 60 million NESs, including like foreign NESs and Famicoms and all the rest. It's like that seems to be a fairly prominent attach rate. It was also really expensive. It was $100 at that time.
Holy shit! I don't think I realized that.
So I was like, did it really sell that? Like, I'm very skeptical of. Again, this is anecdotal. I was a little kid. Like, none of my friends had access to fucking resources that could buy a Power Glove, but it just seems like it's like, I don't think it was that prominent, but I guess it was. I just don't really, if there's 1 million of them out there, I don't see any. And like, no one's talking about the Power Glove. There's only a couple games even ever made for it. You could play any game on it.
You could play any game on
right. Like you had to play it. Like
try.
Yeah. Right. Like it made it was a fucking nonsense really when you look at it. And he was playing Rad Racer with it, which I don't think is one of the games.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember that.
And he's like turning. It's like so stupid. And he's
fascinating though. I think, that was just kind of from a late 80s perspective, it was probably just too tempting not to get like the fact of like motion control, being able to play with a glove was probably just like, if that worked, how could you not be a part of it? And a lot of subsequent disappointment because that thing did not work. I think my friend Tommy had it. He had all the peripheries. Like I remember he had like, definitely had the trackpad for track and field and stuff like that. But he had some of the weirder sort of off-brand ones as well. And none of those things worked, but the gimmicks were just too tempting because, you wanted to squeeze some more life out of this thing. How can we add some more excitement? I guess there was always that angle of like bonding or, meshing physical activity, exercise with video games, so that didn't apply to the Power Glove, but certainly some of the other ones, the rolling rocker and some of the weirder, stranger things. But like from a late 80s perspective, it was almost like laser tag. It was just like too fascinating not to give it a shot, even at a high cost of entry. Which is the Play Choice 10 though. Can I just tell you that was always weird? It was weird during the NES era because it's like I have this at home, or at least my best friend has it, but that thing lingered in arcades through the 32-bit era. And then it got weird on a whole nother level. Right. It was like, who wants to play this anymore? It's next to a Neo Geo. Right. Like, you know what I mean? It was just a strange... It was just... that always struck me as strange. The only thing was the fact, I guess, the cool thing or the charming bit was that it was modular in terms of what was included on it. But I feel like when I saw it, wherever I saw it, it was always the same, generally always the same 10 or a dozen things on it where it was like, no one really made it a thing where they curated a certain lineup that was like, oh, different games or games I've never heard of. It was always the same shit. Right, exactly. And so I never got it. Yeah, I never understood it either just because I was like, well, why? I just don't understand why you'd want to play these games like this. I know that there's like a concession playing, especially some home ports of third-party games, like obviously TMNT or X-Men Arcade or whatever thing. Like these were seminal games that simply couldn't be replicated properly on the contemporary consoles. But like for the stuff like that, I was like, why do you want to play like Mario 3 with a joystick and a like two? It's just weird. I couldn't play it like that. Like it's like playing a totally different new game. So I guess it's challenging from that perspective. Yeah, but makes it, maybe it gives it a little more life. I don't know. It seems annoying. Oh yeah. Yeah. At the very least. All right. We'll go beat by beat through the movie, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of funny things to talk about here as we go. The movie begins with so we were talking about how strange this movie is, and I think it begins kind of weird. This is like an almost 3-minute shot of this kid walking down the highway with the credits going over. I was wondering if you noticed this. I thought this was really funny. So this dope old Isuzu like cop car pulls over and gets this. Jimmy's walking down the street, and this guy from a plane, like a crop duster or something, spots him. Or I don't know what that is, but there's this shot that they clearly set up like a golden hour, right? And it looks great, but it's like the Isuzu is pulling over, the kid Jimmy's walking, and then the plane's coming.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but the plane at the end starts like losing control almost. And I was laughing so hard because I'm like, dude, they set that shot up and they probably can't do it again. And so like they either had to use it but like, I hope Locke plays it over. Like, it's so funny. Like the guy's flying and then it starts just kind of like, and then it like suddenly cuts away. It's very, very funny.
Can we compare that to something like, which came earlier, by the way, like a decade earlier, like Apocalypse Now, where Francis Ford Coppola had to like orchestrate all these Huey helicopters and napalm and shit. You couldn't do the one crop duster. It's like,
they're like, shit, we got to use this stupid shot. Yeah.
But I have to say, for all the things, all the downsides and stuff that we're going to make fun of with this movie, it's disjointed, all the weird stuff. It is beautifully shot. So I know what you're talking about this movie. And I don't know if it's like a nostalgic 35 millimeter thing, but there's a very specific 80s flavor to the way this movie's shot, on analog film, and the way it's really thought out in terms of like storyboardings and shot composition. But those opening establishing shots with the heat, sort of the heat on the horizon, and coming into form, and as he gets closer to the camera and stuff, it's really well done. It looks nice. At least it looks legit. So that was kind of cool. That was kind of a nice surprise for me. It was like, this guy knows his shit in terms of cinematography.
The other thing that bothered me was that I think the cop that pulls him over is wearing a belt, but the belt's not looped into his pants.
Oh, I didn't notice this.
So like he's wearing like, his belt with his gun and all the rest, but like then there's a shot of him with like, and I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of redundant. You have like a belt that you just put on, I guess like almost like you're like a construction worker,
Right.
I guess maybe that's how some of them wear it. I always thought it was like one and the same, but perhaps not.
I don't know. How do you even hold it up with a huge buckle like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
The Isuzu Trooper, though, man, I love that shout out. Is it weird, though, that they did a road movie of traveling from point A to point B and just made it from Utah to Los Angeles?
Yeah, that is
seems like a weird choice.
Also, but makes it a little more realistic, because there are two things that are very true about this movie, which I think which are funny in and of themselves, which is, number one, no adult ever asks what these kids are doing at any time. They get help at least a half dozen times getting from point A to point B by just adults. And no one stops and asks, but maybe them not going all the way, like a real cross-country American thing, is like, it would be kind of unbelievable. It's already unbelievable. Like maybe getting from Utah to California is like the most realistic thing. But the other thing I want to say to these kids' credit is these are highly competent children. Like, they get robbed twice and lose all of their money. They're getting like bodied by, like, they get robbed by these farmers and beat up by these kids and and they're pretty competent. Like I have
to say,
and it is funny, man. Like, it's one thing I noted when we were watching it. It reminds me a lot of horror movies, where a lot of horror movies either have to take place in the past now, or like in something truly in the middle of nowhere or space or something like that. It's like, this couldn't happen anymore.
No,
like there's
100% not.
There's a million different, not that this could have ever really happened anyway. It's like Home Alone or something, but it's like, this wouldn't be possible for a million different reasons anymore. Like, and that's what's so funny about it. Like, Jimmy wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Can you imagine riding down the road and seeing two kids in the back of a pickup truck going like 65 style? Like, what would you do in 2026? What would you do? Like, it's so funny how things have changed so dramatically. But it's true. These kids are dogged, and I couldn't do this now as a 52-year-old man. So give them some credit.
Yeah, they're competent, ballsy kids. It reminds me of the Stand By Me kids, where it's like, you're kind of crazy, like, I wouldn't even do this. Yeah, I'm 41, and I wouldn't walk down the train tracks to find this dead body.
Body. And like, can we just say to Corey, Freddie Sav's character, like, he's doing it out of brotherly love. Mm-hmm. At first, they're not going to California for any determined reason except for that. This little guy, Jimmy wants to go to California. We know he's traumatized. We don't even know why.
Jimmy. Yeah, and again, like, the deleted scenes show so much more about like his trauma and the interplay between the parents, and like,
Does it give it away earlier? Because I do like the fact that you don't know exactly what the trauma is until later in the movie.
No, they cite it more often. Like they'll cite it a few times, but they never specifically, I don't think, ever say. Because I mean, ultimately, as I understand it, Nick, Christian Slater's character, is responsible for the death of Jennifer. And so,
wait a second. I don't know about that. That's an interesting point if that's true.
Because he was supposed to be watching her.
I may have missed this.
I think.
Okay.
And so that's like one of the funny things is like Christian Slater's kind of got some balls because, you know, he obviously didn't mean it, but I think what ended up happening was like he wasn't paying attention. The kid ends up drowning or whatever.
She drowns.
That's why I think that she like gets Jimmy away from the boys, the other two. I think that's kind of the insinuation, which is like,
that's interesting.
Because maybe that's the third important thing that I should bring up to Dig is that, all right, so none of the adults that they encounter seem to care. The kids are highly competent and brave and bold. And no one that knows these children seem particularly concerned either. You know, like when you think about it, like they're having a good old time, you know, playing NES at the motel room and
that's pretty fun.
You know, shooting shit, shoving donuts down your throat, sweat. Why is Beau Bridges sweating so profusely also?
He sweats a lot. I relate,
but I'm not in the movie, you know?
No, it looks kind of fun. They're stowing away on hostess trucks. They're living in like abandoned drive-in movie theaters. Like, this is a proper adventure.
Like no one seems to give a shit. Like no one, like it almost seems to be just, everything just seems to be happening. You know, I find that fascinating. So the next kind of scenes are, we get to know the family, like the stepdad character who plays, again, it's just so funny how much more, you got to go watch that stuff on YouTube and it'll be interesting. Cause I don't think it's important to understand for the movie. Like the movie's great without this stuff, but it'll just give you like, it's like, oh, this is what they were trying to do.
They round it out.
So we meet the random therapist. I'm fascinated by the insinuation. So everything took place 2 years ago. By the way, that's the funniest thing to me too, because when you look at the pictures of them, like it's just pictures of them like right now, you know? It's like indistinguishable from them.
I noticed this.
Yeah. Well, because of course it is like, and they don't have like, sometimes I think movies use like old pictures of people and obviously they have like really creative pre-Photoshop, like even just creative people that can like put all things together and airbrush things and do all that kind of stuff. But like, they didn't even bother doing any of that. These are just pictures they took 2 days ago, you know, on the set. And so we meet the entire family and, I guess they frame it that Sam Woods is like a landscaper. It's kind of cool. There's like some kind of cool environmental storytelling. It seems like they're kind of working class and the landscaping like headquarters is there. You see that like people like can park there and buy goods and whatever. And one of the deleted scenes I think shows that they have like an old like 80s PC on a desk somewhere. Like, so they're like running the business from there and shit like that.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's awesome.
And so they're established as that Corey and Nick, so the older brother and the middle brother live together with the dad.
Right.
Jimmy lives with his mom, who is, and this is where things get convoluted and where I was like, what the fuck is this? Like Jimmy's mom is their stepmom. Their mom died. I think that then he remarries. So Christine, the character Christine, I think is her name, is his second wife. So he lost his original wife and then got divorced as I read it.
It's right.
And it's like, why
that's how I understood it.
I'm like, what is, and then Jennifer's like the fourth child that's deceased. And yada, 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 California and this obsession with the family and what's in his lunchbox and all the rest. It's like, it's him, like you said, it's like this trauma around his dead twin sister. This like phantom pain that he experiences, I guess. And it is incredibly dark.
That's dark.
Yeah, when you think about it.
That's dark, dude.
So we meet all of them. Do they ever... What's the thing with Jimmy building blocks?
I wrote this down. Why is everybody so mad about it?
Yeah.
He's just building things with Legos and then later on with like boxes.
Yeah, like at some point, like Corey, like he's like building things with like popcorn boxes and Corey just like punches him down.
Stop building shit. Like it's so weird. He's just building things. He could be coloring in a coloring book. What would be the difference?
Yeah, it's funny as hell. Like, but they focus on that, but they never, I don't feel like it goes anywhere.
No, that's what I'm talking about, that where the added context would have been helpful. But I do think there's just a lot of weird shit that they never connect the seams. You know what I mean? Where there's just like, what I love the fact that if you're going to do the dark thing and you're going to make this kid who's traumatized and has PTSD, and then, he's obviously disturbed. I mean, give the kid credit, right? He plays a properly haunted kid. He's got this ethereal sort of disturbed quality to him. That's whether it's just because he's a little kid or whether because he's a great actor, I don't know, but it works, right? But you got this whole thing where he's traumatized, but you don't know exactly why until there's a payoff later in the film. But, and I say this because I think it's a missed marketing opportunity. Why not make that lunchbox Nintendo branded? Right. Would that be in bad taste?
Yeah, it's like the Zelda lunchbox or something like that. Yeah, yeah, maybe be in bad taste. Yeah.
All right, maybe they had some restraint. Honor their restraint.
They had too much restraint. I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
Maybe I just want that for the nostalgia, like all the marketing nostalgia and shit like that.
Right.
I lived in that world. We lived in that world, and it would be fun to go back. But at the same time, there is a surprising amount of restraint. Because yeah, like you would be like, oh my God, that kid carries a fucking lunchbox. Are you kidding? We'll call you back in 5 minutes, and they're like, gonna go fucking scramble to like find the perfect thing to. It's the same thing with like it was clear that I want to say it's fairly clear that they have an Eastpak sponsorship as well, which is his backpack.
Right.
And that's another thing they could have branded and had, because he's a nerd. And actually, again, I keep referencing the deleted footage, but like his bona fides as a gamer are much more shown in that, like where like he actually is a player of game. That from Corey, just because he's like Double Dragon, 50,000 points or whatever.
Yeah,
you get that from that, but like you actually see him playing and getting pretty good at it.
So they build that more.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I want to ask you about the added footage, the bonus footage of the cutting room floor stuff. And I hope the answer is no. Do they ever, because I love shit like this, do they ever add context or explanation to the fact that they're driving around, the dad, with a sapling in the back?
Oh, dude, I was going to get to that. I love that. I thought that was just supposed to be a funny gag, like a visual gag. It's very, very funny.
It's there the entire time.
It's super fun. And it gets like more and more distressed until it has like no trees or no leaves on it anymore, which is very, very funny. Yeah, I love that. I thought that was...
Don't even talk about it. Don't refer to it.
Yeah, I don't think they ever do. And I think that was just
like that.
I love that visual gag. Like I thought that was just so funny. It's just so silly in a way that like they're in such a rush that they can't take like the shit out of the truck, but they're not in such a rush that they stop at a motel every night and play NES and eat and shower and do all these things. It's funny, man. There's not a lot of urgency shown by these.
There really isn't.
All right, so we eventually meet the father, Sam, as we were talking about, serving them a casserole. It's funny, by using this scene, they position him as kind of a struggle. He is a struggling single dad trying to do right by his kids. They insinuate a lot. He insinuates a lot of things that you see in the footage, against the deleted footage, that you don't see in the movie, like his car Nick stealing his car and getting drunk and doing all like that's all in that footage. And there's even this really interesting scene in the deleted footage where Corey is like sneaking out of the house, but he kind of wants to get caught. Like he wants his dad to care, but his dad doesn't really care. So like, it's interesting that by using this casserole scene as like the introduction and then kind of framing it that way, like he's a much more sympathetic character. And that might be what they're going for.
Interesting.
Here, okay. Which is cool.
I was wondering about that because there is that argument where they're tracking on the house and you just hear the ADR and the dad's yelling at the Christian Slater character and being like, you're drinking and stealing the truck and stuff like that. But it just seems like a one shot.
Well,
like
it almost seems like one of those things that they added in there. Like, we need more context. Like, we got to do this VO, because you see a lot of that. There's a lot of random like establishment VO if you pay attention, or just like one-off things that were dubbed in probably.
Right. That's what it seems like.
So
but that's nice that it was more thought out than was in the theatrical presentation.
Yeah, like I think
comforting.
It doesn't need to be like, it's so surprising everyone wants to hit this 90 or 100 minutes. I totally get it. You don't want the movie to be 2 hours long, maybe, but like
there's no way.
You could cut some shit out and add a few things in to make it more. But the cool thing about the movie is it does get into the action pretty quick, which I appreciate. And again, it's for children. It's like it's not,
brisk. Yeah,
it's not even like Star Wars or like ostensibly this is for kids. It's like, no, this is literally for children. Like
yes.
No one thought when they made The Wizard in 1989 that people would be doing a podcast about, like, they wouldn't even know what a podcast was, but like some sort of radio show about the wizard in 2026.
That's a great point. But yeah, you have to. It is for kids, and ostensibly, you have to. It's parents are going to bring them to the theater. They have to be able to sit through it too. How can we make it palatable for them? Typical thing.
So we learn, and again, this is just something they skip through in the actual cut, but we learn that Jimmy is going to be institutionalized. He runs away constantly. He wants to go to California. He keeps saying California. And like again, it's a reference to frankly a dinosaur park in California that you'll learn about later in the movie. But
spoiler.
I mean, yeah, we've already spoiled the whole movie.
Spoilers for a 1989 movie.
Yeah, you had some time. You've had a lot of time. 35 years. So ultimately, I think Corey. There's a cool shot where Corey's like throwing darts at a map and fucking his wall up. I'm sure his dad's thrilled about that.
I was thinking about that. Like I strangle my kids.
Yeah, like it made me cringe. Like it's funny, Dave. I think about this with you, especially because you used to get in trouble with our parents a lot for like fucking your walls up. Like with
drawing on the wall,
and then you put a hole in the wall that you hid for years that Dad discovered in your bedroom when we moved. Like you put a poster over it, and I think Dad discovered it. Like,
was that my Shawshank escape hole?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like, yeah, I don't know what you did, but I remember that being a thing. But like, they used to get mad at all of us for putting like thumbtack holes in the wall. And at the time, I'm like, what does it matter? Who gives it? And now as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, I would have killed me for doing that. You know, like what does it matter? But he's playing darts and ultimately throws a dart conveniently into Southern California, almost right into Los Angeles itself. And so he opts, knowing that Jimmy is interested in California and that's where he's walking. I don't know if he makes the connection. Obviously, he doesn't know the connection yet, but he opts to basically help him break out of his facility. Little Metal Gear Solid Splinter Cell type action. You go in there, he breaks Jimmy out, and they get into a Wonder truck. So a nice, I mean, obviously Hostess and Wonder. I mean, these are actually different companies now because, as you might recall, Wonder Bread went out of business. And then was revived. Remember that year or so you couldn't get Wonder Bread? It was kind of weird.
I don't think I ever realized it.
Yeah, it was like maybe 15 years ago now, maybe something like that. Like they went out of, like there was no Wonder Bread for a while and like none of that stuff. And then like a company bought it and brought it back.
I could see it. The word on white bread was not good for a while.
Yeah,
so I could see that going.
I love white bread personally, but isn't it so good, but it's so bad for you.
Yeah, but that's how we grew up.
Right.
We didn't have whole wheat.
Yeah, butter top whole wheat. So they go into the Hostess truck. I really like the scene later when they get out of so this is like the first leg of their journey. And there is a really funny scene with funny delivery where Corey is like, do you have to be such a pig or something? And he's got like, and Jimmy's got like chocolate all over his face, but so does Corey, just a little less on his face. So they were eating in the back of the truck and they kind of advance on their journey. And we're also introduced to Mr. Putnam at this point in another scene, who's the IG-88, the Zuckus of this particular film. He's a child catching bounty hunter, I guess. Like that's his specialty. Now, I'm curious about how much money's on the line here because this guy's going all out. He fucks his car up to his Oldsmobile up to a degree that it's just a total loss. It's like, how much money are you getting paid? Why are you willing to? Is it really that much money?
Maybe that's his work beater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he can write it off or whatever. Yeah.
It's such an interesting. I'm sure somebody has made this point, but why not just let this guy go and get his bounty? The Bo character, the Bo Bridges character wasn't paying for it.
Yeah.
Right. So Dad wasn't paying for it. So why not just let this guy go get? Why does that have to be a race against this guy that's trying to recover your lost children? You know, it's very weird. It's like, no, it's for me. You know, the guy's even like, if you do it, I don't get paid. Not that they have to be sympathetic to that, but yeah, the fact that they have to artificially create this race is very funny.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this idea that you could remove it and it would still be the same thing. Like the kids would still be going. And then you have like the dad character, like invigorated and chasing after with his older brother and like how they have a beef with each other, but they come to soften over this journey. Like that really could have been more the focus. I do understand this idea that you have to have like some, like there's no official presence it's not like the FBI is looking for like this missing kid or anything like that or whatever. It's like a bounty hunter and then a dad, and like no one else seems involved. In fact, like no one even seems to care. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like no one. But it's a film. It's a movie. It's obviously not serious.
Right. You have to dismiss. You have to suspend some disbelief. And the cops are involved at least in the first attempt before he's before Jimmy is captured and thrown in the home.
Jimmy. All right, so
California. That's the one thing about that's been the meme, is that one kid saying that one thing.
Right.
Besides all the SMB3 stuff.
And Lucas, Lucas is a big.
Lucas is, that's true. Yeah, 100%.
Well, because we'll get to the it's so bad thing, but I remember it being so much more dramatic than it is, where I'd almost be like, all right, cut. Like, can you give us like a little something more?
So bad.
Because I remember him saying, the Power Glove, it's so bad, or something like that. But he like doesn't say, like, he's almost very, very nonchalant. But we'll get to him. We'll get to Lucas.
We'll get to him.
So there's a cool shot after the hostess truck, like he bails out. The hostess guy's making a delivery. There is that cool shot. It's a random scene of them in the phone booth as it's raining. Obviously, they have some sort of rain machine, I assume, but I like that shot. They just linger on it for a couple of seconds, and then you can tell that they were kind of dicking around on this highway in Nevada or something, getting establishment shots. So like they're skating, they're almost getting hit by a pickup truck. Or an 18-wheeler, even worse, pancake.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just so strange. Like, so they end up like starting a campfire somewhere, and ultimately they get dropped off at another town. So this is again the second leg of their journey by another group of people. They get dropped off in a back of a pickup truck again. They only show it very briefly, like the truck picking up, like pulling up to the bus station, letting them out, and then drives away. But I'm like, all right, so that's another group of people that have no interest in what's going on with these kids. Very strange. And this is when he gets to the bus station. He's trying to buy a ticket. Was it me, or was like, it seemed pretty expensive? Bus tickets.
I thought the same thing.
Like even for now, it seems expensive.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Now I'm not familiar with like long-term, but like long distance bus trips, Greyhound or whatever. I haven't done that in years. And I don't remember. I used to take it from Philly to Boston a lot. I wish I remember what it cost back then. That was probably mid-90s. So, yeah. So we're going back even 10 years, 5 to 10 years earlier than that. Interesting. Yeah, $200 something.
Yeah, it seemed crazy. They're going from, they say they're in Goblin Valley, which is in Utah. Like they get driven to this bus station. You assume it's close by.
Yeah.
They're going from Utah to LA. So all you have to do is cross over Nevada.
Right.
I mean, it's not all, it's a long drive, but it's like $250 or whatever for two. It's like, that seems extraordinary. Like,
I know
what we used to make fun of this thing. I actually have a magnet of it on my fridge that someone gave me. It's the infamous Chinatown bus, which goes from Boston to New York City. I don't know what it costs now, but that shit was $10 when I was in college. And that would get you from Boston to Manhattan. You might not live.
Yeah, slightly
Your body's
dangerous.
going to get to Manhattan for sure. Like whether it comes in some sort of ambulance or whatever.
Totally worth it. Yeah. Still worth it.
And it's so funny. Like that was the thing. That was the way to get quickly between Boston and New York. And it was nothing. So I was just so surprised by that cost, because he says he has like $27. And I'm like, that, like, I know I don't know. It feels like that can get you somewhere. They can't get you to like Vegas or like closer to the goal. I was surprised by that. But of course, this is important for the story, because as Corey is trying to negotiate his price here with the bus driver, Jimmy is playing Double Dragon at the play choice machine while this mysterious girl is reading a Cosmopolitan magazine. Now, I said this, and Micah was like, "Oh, Cosmo." She looked it up. She's like, "Cosmo doesn't print anymore. Like, it's just an online thing." Which I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." But I was like, that magazine looks like it could have been released today. Like, there's something timeless about.
Oh, interesting.
That big footprint of a Cosmo magazine, the way it's shot, the masthead, everything. It's very consistent branding over time.
Yeah, it's probably been the same since then.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
And so like Corey needs money. He's looking for money. He makes a bet, I guess, with this chick after he's found out that Corey is really good at, or I'm sorry, Jimmy's really good at not Ninja Gaiden. We don't know that yet. Double Dragon. They hide away in like some sort of bus depot garage or whatever, talking about it. Haley comes in and finds them. And see, now this is where Haley's an interesting character, but it's a little distasteful. She like, the first thing she says is like, if you don't tell me what you're doing, I'm going to scream. It's like, what is your deal? You know, like what, like, and she obviously pulls some shit on Putnam later. Now I understand that whole idea, but it's like,
done this before.
Yeah. But like, what, like you're really just like throwing men's lives away. You know? Like
very flagrant.
It's serious. It's serious shit. So
you get somebody thrown in jail, my friend.
So they fight. Like, I guess it establishes Haley is also a gamer with some bona fides. So she is surprised that Jimmy can play so well. Corey realizes he has a mark in her, so they compete in Double Dragon. We don't really see it, but we see a little bit of it in like a vignette. And then Jimmy ends up winning. So Haley feels like she was ripped off, and it's actually pretty funny. Like they're fighting in front of like the bus guy behind the counter. And so what do you think about this whole scene?
Oh, it's hilarious. I love the Haley character is amazing. She's so funny. I just looked up the $250 bus ticket. Adjusted for inflation, that's $35,000. That's what it feels like, right? Did I ever tell you my idea that every podcast I do, I just want to flagrantly say one fact that's not true, but not acknowledge it is not true, and just kind of embed it, just hide it in the episode somewhere. But every time there's going to be one time I say something that's obviously not true, but I'm not going to acknowledge it. I've been wanting to do that for so long, by the way. I've been wanting to bring up that idea for so long.
Do it.
So you know what's really cool about this part? Freddie, let's just call him Kevin Arnold. Kevin Arnold and the Jenny Lewis character, the Haley character, they have a really cool chemistry. I don't know if it's because they're both good, really good child actors, but there's something interesting about these two. Like I buy them as a duo. I like this kind of unlikely friendship that starts out with, you know, the tension and the stakes and all that kind of thing. But I like these two together. I think they're cute. I think they work.
Yeah, they are cute. Yeah. Like there's like little odes to it, like where he says like, you know, when they meet Lucas later, like keep your power glove off her or whatever the fuck he says. And then they finally kiss later on and whatever. And they have, it was all leading to that, I guess, for them. But
exactly what age are they supposed to be?
Like 13, maybe. I kind of like.
That's what I would think. Yeah. Early teens.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, she seems like she might even be a little older, like maybe 14.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
15.
I see that. I would think Corey and Haley are somewhere in between Nick and Jimmy.
Yeah. Jimmy.
Right.
Jimmy.
So.
Also this is also when they cut back to Sam and Nick driving in pursuit, and Sam's just sweating profusely, shoving a donut down his throat. And then they're going on this map, and then he almost crashes. He almost fucks the entire thing up. So gotta be careful out there on the road.
I like these two together too. Like for some reason, Beau Bridges and Christian Slater just work as a father and son. I don't know if it's their chemistry or if it's a physical thing. You could kind of buy that there's a lineage there, like a physical lineage, but there's something really disturbing about the father-son dynamic in that it seems like the son likes the dad a lot more than the dad likes the son. Did you get that?
Yeah.
I know he's disgruntled with the son.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Right. He's trying to love up to his dad, and the dad's kind of giving him the cold shoulder.
Yeah. I think it's funny, man. Like I think it plays into like dynamics. Obviously I just always feel like parents must have preferences. Seriously. They'll never say it. I understand why. It doesn't mean you love someone more than another person or like would do things differently. But like if you had your druthers, right? Like it's like, all right, I like you. Like I want to be around you the most. You know, you're like, you have the best personality or whatever. I relate to you the most. Like it must be. It's
really, I gotta say, I have two kids that are so different than each other that Helene and I are lucky because you really do love them for different reasons. Like they have different good qualities. You know, my kids are they're just two different. They have a lot of the same foundational things, but you love them on different levels because they just bring something different to the table. I think with a parent, it's weird because you probably love a kid a lot if they're a lot like you, and you probably love a kid a lot if they're not like you, like dynamically not like you, and you admire those things in them. But if you have a kid somewhere in the middle, it must be weird And I think it's also different depending on how many you have. Like there's definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be something different too, because how much, I don't know, this is terrible. But it's like, how much love can you have? You have 9 children. I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't even know like their personality.
Yeah, like I don't even know this kid. Who is this?
You only have so much of yourself to spread out to people. So it's like, you know what I mean? I think it would be different depending on the dynamic.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, like those old like farming families with all those kids in it. It's like you and you're always working.
I didn't even remember the names.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's unbelievable. It's literally unbelievable. I like the scene here that comes up where, again, I brought up earlier, they're playing Ninja Gaiden at a cocktail table at a diner, which is pretty cool. And I like this because Haley is starting. What you realize about Haley is that she's obviously like kind of a conniving chick in some way. How she grew up in Reno, and her mom, you find out later, was kind of like a gambler and blew all their money. And
I like that.
We learn that more directly when she knows how to play craps later on.
Right.
But she kind of identifies in these two possible, companions that they can make some money together by ripping people off, basically, because Jimmy is this unsuspecting savant of video games. And she's the one that decides to leverage that. And she also is the one that brings up the whole idea of video Armageddon. She goes into a magazine and shows them the advertisement for it, which is this competition in California. And I want to say, I love that it's called Video Armageddon. I think that's like instead of Video Game Armageddon, I think Video Armageddon is just such a dope. And it would have been, again, like a different Nintendo would like revive that branding, or like do like a Nintendo competition and call it Video Armageddon.
It's a great idea.
Which would be super cool. And so they now have a direction. He wants to go to California. They don't really know what it means, but they know that they have themselves they have some ringers around them, and they can kind of make some money, and they can get to California and make this $50,000, which is a substantial amount of money. That's a substantial amount of money now. That's a substantial amount of money then. That's something like, I think, what would be like 125 or something today.
I would think.
Yeah, something like that. So it's a lot of money. And she agrees that she'll kind of like help train him and get him there or whatever if they can, and like use her skills, her being out on the road as a trucker's daughter and all this kind of stuff, which is interesting. You never meet her dad. He exists.
No,
because he's referenced. But we never meet him. And we meet
his friends though, because at first you don't know. As you find out, she's fudging things and she's kind of making up stories. You don't even know if that guy exists. But eventually you meet. We'll talk about him. Spanky, right, stuff like that.
Spanky.
So you know that the dad is out there.
Yeah, he's out there. And that was the other thing, is like, I guess she's not lying when she's like, oh, my dad. I think what she was basically saying is like her dad dropped her off at this bus stop to like send her back. He goes between Reno and Kansas City, I guess, which is a pretty long distance all the way to Missouri.
That's a long haul, yeah.
So I guess maybe he literally did just drop her off and like say like, take a bus back. And it's like, okay.
Jesus.
And she has a bus ticket, I guess, because she misses her bus.
That is true.
So yeah. So there's something that's very straight. Like these parents, this is classic 80s parenting.
Yeah,
like, to the nth
80s.
degree. Like the classic, like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are parenting?
Yeah, absentee parenting.
Right. So funny, man. And
it was a total thing.
So they decided to do that now in the same town. And I think they just miss each other or whatever. The Woods roll into this town and go to the diner. And this I think is the weirdest scene actually in the entire movie, because Putnam shows majorly aggressive moves towards these guys by destroying and cutting 2 of their tires. And then he kind of acts like he's the victim later on, because he pulls off and he's like, Woods, you've got no class at all. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you just, and also, why are you guys competing with each other? I don't even understand. You're working toward, like, if I were Sam and Nick, I would be like, listen, dude, you do your thing, and like we're gonna do our thing, and like if we catch him, like we'll just tell them like well, you'll get your money. Like, what are we even doing here?
Or team up.
Yeah,
pool your resources.
Right, like we're all going. We don't want the money. We want the kid. If you want the money, then Christine can pay you the money. Like we'll set that all up. It could have just been diffused. Instead, 100%. It becomes this crazy thing. And so Sam goes and gets a shovel out of his truck and beats the shit out of that Oldsmobile. So and again, I do love the visual. It's the same thing with the sapling, although I think it's even more funny this time. It's like, I love how fucked up that car becomes and how he's still just driving it. I think it's awesome. It's like very funny to me. I love.
Is that a Regal Cutlass or something? It's burgundy. It's so 80s. I love it.
He's got the thing in the window that you pull down for like to get the sun out of your eyes and stuff like that. I noticed, which is very funny. It's very funny.
It's consummate 80s. It's perfect. It's the perfect choice. But going to town on that car with the shovel, how satisfying is that? I'm here for it.
Yeah, it takes the rear view mirror out and or one of the one of the side mirrors and
a couple of the headlights.
Yeah, he fucks up the grill and all that. Yeah, and I just thought that was so funny because I'm like, what do you? He also even holds a knife to them.
Oh yeah, so it's violent.
At that point, I'm like, I don't get this escalation. Like, why don't you just do your thing? Like, you could just diffuse this. 3 heads are better than 1.
Yeah, because his whole thing, the bounty hunter's whole thing, Putnam's whole issue is if they get to him first, he's not going to get his purse, right? He's not going to get his money, so he's got to stop them. But yeah, it's just like pool your resources, or just say like we'll help each other out, and we'll go. I don't know what's fair, 70-30 on it or something, or we'll go 80-20. I just won't say you guys were here, and we'll get your kids back. You have the stakes, I have stakes, right? It's more fun to have the chase, though.
Yeah, of course.
Some movies do it.
That's why I wonder. I'm like, what is the price? Like, what is the bounty? Because
we never do find that out.
No,
do we?
It's got to be something extraordinary because you're throwing it all away. Like your car, your whole car is fucked up. It's done. It's done. That car is done. But I do love the visual. Like him later pulling up to the hotel is like, it's so funny. Like it's just all fucked up.
So good.
It's very, very funny. All right, so this is where we discover that Haley's dad's a trucker and she's from Reno. So that's kind of the direction they're going into in Nevada. And that will bring them, Reno's not really on the way to LA, but you can't, there's only certain ways you can cut through Nevada. It's famously when you fly from San Francisco to Las Vegas, you have to kind of go down California and then jut in because you're not allowed to even fly over a lot of Nevada. A lot of weird secret shit going on there, I think, to be honest.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
For flight paths, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So Area 52 type shit.
Yeah, 51.
Okay,
is the area.
Area is it Area 51?
Yeah, I think so. Yes,
I just added an area.
Yeah, there could be an area. There probably is an area.
They made it bigger.
I heard
they made it bigger.
Yeah, that's right. They needed a little more space. Pardon the pun.
Oh.
So this is another weird scene. So I think this is the third now transport that they've taken. So now they're in the back of like a cow transport with some like cowboys type farmers, frontiersmen, as it were, modern day frontiersmen. And they're counting their money. And this is kind of one of the weird scenes too. These guys just rob these kids and leave them on the side of the road, which I'm pretty sure if something happened to them would be manslaughter
on them.
Yeah. Like so weird. Like they're willing to like help these kids. That's what's so weird. It's very sudden because we never see them pick them up, but they're willing to help these kids out. They're just sitting back there, and then they see them in the rearview mirror counting all this money. It's not that much money.
It's not. I mean,
even at that time,
it's like $26 or something.
Well, I think it's over 100 with between them, right? Because she had like
all. Oh, because money, that was after. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and then he has $27, right. And so, but we find out he's actually hiding some of it, thankfully, because that allows them to get back on their feet. But suddenly they see a flash of whatever, $120 or whatever. And they are willing to risk it all for this. They like literally assault and rob these kids and then leave them on the side of the road. It's very strange.
And almost lose, by the way. The kids almost get the upper hand. Like right. It's pretty close. They put up a hell of a fight.
Yeah. Like if Jimmy was willing to fucking hold his own out there, it's 3-on-2. You should be able to take advantage of that in some way. And he's just not pulling his own. So that was that's a weird, just want to say that's a fucking weird scene.
It really is, after regaling them with the trucker's code, which she's convinced these guys have their best interest at heart. And they're not truckers, by the way. They're just like dairy farmers or something.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is weird.
It's just, I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. And they show another scene briefly where the Woods are getting their tires replaced. They have to buy like white wall tires or whatever. And then
that's weird.
I like this scene here where you see, Nick playing the NES. He's playing like Mario 2. And you learn a little bit of interesting lore here, actually, that I think is kind of important. Not really, but it's good texture, which is that you discover that Sam is the one that bought Jimmy the Nintendo and the NES games and got him into it, which is kind of cool. And later, of course, he ends up adopting it. And I did read that Christian Slater and Beau Bridges both kind of became gamers off of this movie, like, or at least became to appreciate games more because they like weren't into it when they took the role or whatever.
Yeah, you could tell Beau Bridges never played a video game before. Oh, yeah, it's like, I cannot watch Beau Bridges play Nintendo ever again after this movie. It's like you couldn't get, with the waggling the controller and, the whole thing of like you think you're acting playing video. You could have gotten any circa 1989 10-year-old as an on-set consultant to show how an NES should be played. I hate stuff like that.
I was in a at IGN, like when we were stolen by Fox, we did like some sort of like buyer's guide that aired on Fox, like, in the middle of like Saturday on like whatever it was, some stupid thing. But I was like in it like for one scene, just in the background, and it was in our demo. It was in the IGN demo room, and I was supposed to pretend to be playing. Like I had like I think it was a 360 controller, and so I had it in my lap. You can't really see, but I just had it in my lap. And the guy, and I think Jessica Chobot was like talking in the background. So I was like in the like a background person or whatever.
I had such a crush on her. Dude.
And then I think everyone did at some point. And then I know you loved her though. It was so funny. I remember you saying that when I got the job there. Like she's a really nice person. And so I remember the guy who was filming, like the director or whatever, was like, you got to hold the controller up. Like he's like, we can't see it in the scene, so like they had me playing almost like this or something. I'm like, no one plays games like play like this. And I'm like, dude, no one. But that's fine. I will always remember that.
That's a great. Is she? By the way, is Jessica Chobot? She's not still floating around because she went from that. She went from IGN to G4 and stuff like that. Is she
I don't
still
really know what happened.
Around video games or what?
I don't think so. I think the last time I even saw her, I ran into her at VidCon, which was probably 10 years ago. So,
not that long. That's pretty long.
Yeah, like I actually was very friendly with her. I did tell this story about how I said something snarky about her in an email at IGN and didn't realize she was on. Actually, it was like, I think what it was she was on the, like, there was a video at IGN.com or whatever email address, and she was technically on the video team.
Okay.
And so we would correspond between editorial and video or whatever. And I said something like, they couldn't do something for me or whatever. And I was like, well, like, who gives a shit about any of this stuff? Like, I need to do all of this. Like, that stuff can wait kind of thing or whatever. And she was on the email thread and like sniped back at me. And I felt really bad because I was like, I really don't have a beef with you. I don't even know why I did that, but I'll always remember that about her too. But when I saw her, so she ended up leaving. I don't know what happened. And then Naomi Kyle came in and kind of replaced her. And she was really sweet too. She was a nice girl. And then I never saw Jessica or talked to her again. And then I saw her at VidCon, and she like hugged me and was like really nice to me. So I'm like, all right, either she doesn't remember or bygones are bygones. But I believe she married a guy who, I can't remember his name, Blair something. He was somewhat famous. And then I think she just kind of became a mom, I think, and like kind of bailed out, which is good. I mean, that's great.
Yeah. Hey.
So I don't think she does anything anymore, but I could be totally wrong on that. But I don't think she even really does anything anymore. C'est la vie.
That's amazing.
So, all right, where are we here? All right, so after they're robbed, I don't think we really learn anything. They get dropped off by another random truck, and they're in another town, I guess, closer to the goal of getting at least to Reno. And this is where Haley catches Corey in a lie. And you get another, like, she's a card counter and all that. You like get all this from her because she's like, you have $4. Like, I know you have $4, which is apparently being held in his underwear. He turns around and takes it, but then she talks some shit. I like that scene actually, where she's like, this is obviously too above you kind of thing. I'll go, and there's like these some old men for some reason playing an arcade game. Not a thing that really happened in the 80s, but
that's strange.
There probably were some old dudes, but that wasn't the thing, and I want to focus on that. So they opt to use them as their new marks and end up kind of making a bunch of money off them, which we don't really see. Corey goes up to and talks some shit to them, and they get into it. I don't even know what they're gonna play or whatever. But yeah, that scene bothered me a little bit just because I'm like, I am positive there are old people playing video games and on computers and all that. I know, but like it wasn't a thing I don't remember ever seeing that. I don't remember ever seeing anyone but maybe someone in their 20s at the most playing in an arcade machine ever.
100%.
So it's like
it would stand out like a sore thumb.
So like, yeah, they're like not even surprised that they see these two old guys, but that they're like willing to take advantage of them. And it's so funny. I'm like, what were they? I was so curious. I'm like, what are they playing? What are these two like salesmen, like these 50-year-olds playing on?
They never show the screen.
No, weird.
Right. But it's like Zelda-esque sound effects, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. Zelda 2.
So it's something that they were just putting in there as, some sort of SFX that don't apply to anything, but they never show. But yeah, it's funny because generationally, it would stand out to you and I. You'd never, if you saw anyone broaching 30, like you were saying, playing a video game in an arcade, you'd be like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And it would never, I'm sorry to say this, but it's just the way it was. It would never have been a woman. Not that it was a woman in the movie, right. But you would never see an older lady in an arcade playing. Like, times have definitely changed.
And that's why I feel like it's easy for me to say, I guess, but I feel like the gender discrepancy in like the representation of games is almost overstated when you think about it from that perspective. What I mean is like, our sister Allie played games. She still plays games.
Yeah.
But that wasn't very common. And yet they put a prominent female role in The Wizard in 1989 of a girl who plays games and knows games and talks about games and all that kind of stuff. And I think they've always tried. I was lamenting recently on Sacred that there are these studies where it's like, half of women gamers are women. And I'm like, no, they're not.
Half?
Yeah. It's like, no,
what do you think it is percentage wise?
It depends on the sector you're talking about. And they do cut it down where it's like, mobile gaming and tablet gaming and browser gaming, which isn't really a thing anymore, but it was like when you had Farmville and all the rest.
Sure.
That's probably substantially more female and might even be predominantly female. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea that like 50% of console gamers are women or even 40% or 30%, I'm like, I was saying, I'm like, I wish that was true. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
If that was true, but not only for business, for everyone's business, to have like a whole nother subsect of people to sell to. There are obviously my own wife's a hardcore console gamer. They exist.
100%.
It's just like, right. I don't know that there's that many of them. And yet I do think that there's comparable to men, of course. And so I think it's cool to see something even in the late 80s where it's like, actually, this is totally fine. And is against the prevailing winds, I guess, of saying like, oh no, this was always like an outcast kind of thing for women. And it actually reminds me of that chick in Stranger Things, who's also redheaded.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Where she's like another Absolutely. Max, I think her name is.
Max is the gamer. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, it's cool that, now that's a newer piece of product based on the 80s, but it's cool to kind of represent it like that. I wish it were true. I really do. I wish it were true. We just even see, not that my own numbers are in any way emblematic of the console space, but it's like, we have it's probably like 19 out of 20 viewers or listeners is male,
Yeah, that's
dude. If we could spread the field to where we were attracting as many women as we were men, we would be fucking killing it. So again, I wish that were real, but it's not.
I wonder about that because I think about it must be growing, and I think it's not to stereotype because there's obviously nuance, but like you think about women that are involved with or fans of animation and anime and D&D and just tabletop gaming in general and nerd culture and superhero, Marvel and all the things. It's got to be growing. Not that those are all the same people that are into all those things, not to stereotype at all, but like, you know what I mean? It's got to be, it's definitely more pronounced. It has to be ascending compared to the way it used to be, at least from my perspective. I'm old. So, but I would think that number is growing, but yeah. And that speaks to the content too, not necessarily with podcasting. I don't think, but I think with media, especially games, more stuff that could appeal to more people would be cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
100%. And games are becoming more acceptable and more because you were saying like you would never see an adult, you never see a woman play back in the day.
Never.
It's just true because there was a social cost to it. It's not that people didn't want to do it.
That's the thing.
It's not that people didn't. It's not. Mom always talks about, and not that she would give a shit about the social cost, especially at that age, but like her saying she used to play Atari and stuff and Frogger into all these things, and she was really into it. I think Allie was just really attracted to games from an early age and never really stopped playing them. But I just think that there was a social cost to it. And at some point, you talk about that all the time with your own, with kind of abandoning G.I. Joe and Star Wars and Mask and all that stuff when you didn't really want to, the
80s was a big thing for that.
Yeah.
That was a decade where things were just different socially. Yeah, it's true.
So, all right. So ultimately they win some money from these old guys and they end up holing up in a junkyard where they sleep in these trucks. And you learn a little bit more about the background of some of these things. There's a funny scene here, actually, again, a little more deeply connected to the deleted scenes that bring a little bit more insight to it. We know that Corey is carrying this backpack, this East pack with him. We assume, by the way, because Micah had asked, like, how did they start a fire when they were in Goblin Valley? And I'm like, maybe he's a Boy Scout. He has like his canteen. So like maybe he has like the stuff. Like, we don't know what is in his backpack, but at this point he like pulls some of what's in his backpack out, and it's like so fucking weird. It's like he has like a fake huge spider and like a scary Halloween style mask. This is a reference to him and his friends a little earlier in the movie. If you watch the deleted scenes, like at one point they like put a mask on the end of like this pole and like hit his window with it to wake him up or whatever, to like get his attention. So I think that's what it's in reference to, but it's just very strange. And
because it seems very random if you don't have that context.
Right, exactly. And then Haley fucking cold clocks him. One of the weirdest scenes in the whole, just fucking punches him right in the face, just knocks him out. And this is where the Semi and Angel montage begins, as they find they get with the bikers, which is funny. So another group of adults that have no interest in what's actually going on with them. And I like the scene actually where they're riding by, I think, and then like Putnam's on the side of the road, like shaving, and he doesn't realize that it's them. So that was kind of a cool.
Oh yeah, that was a cool little
as
thing.
He's getting passed on the road. But dude,
some thoughtful stuff like that.
Yeah, it's cool
for sure,
dude. But as we were talking about earlier in the show, Real Life Semi and Angel. I mean, what a fucking song, dude! I love that song. It's a total
absolute banger.
Dude.
Timeless.
Oh, love it.
Timeless.
Love it. And I put it up there with great montage. The music's perfect. You know, it's great.
I love an 80s montage.
Yeah.
It's hard to fuck that up. It's really a good one. It's a good one to put in there. And it's a nice interlude to introduce a song that really works. Semi and Angel is timeless. I mean, it really is. It's like it's like Kate Bush running up that hill. Even if you're not a Stranger Things fan, it's just one of those 80s songs that withstood the test of time. And I think part of that was it wasn't one of those 80s songs like you would think of a Madonna song or something like that, as good as that song or that album might have been. It was like redundant. It was on it was on the radio, on circulation, every 4 tracks. It was one of those ones that I think you heard less, so you never got tired of it. I think of like every Depeche Mode song, right? Like those are 2 Pet Shop Boys, like just good, not only good music, but stuff that never got oversaturated. But here's my problem with Real Life's Send Me an Angel is that this song was done already in a movie 3 years prior. And the iconic, legendary 1986, I want to say, movie Rad, the BMX movie Rad, they did a segment where, super cheesy but amazing, where they went to a school dance and danced on their BMX bikes, like BMX freestyle dance, the boy and the girl, it's crew, and the girl he meets, who's like a professional BMXer. They dance on their BMX bikes to this song with all the bokeh in the background. It's very 80s. It's amazing. Slow-mo, super sick. And the girl is actually the Uncle Jesse's, I always forget the actress's name, Uncle Jesse's girlfriend or wife from Full House.
Consopoulos. Yeah, what the fuck's her name? She got in trouble. She's like in trouble, right?
Yes, she got in trouble over the whole Ivy League school thing. Laughlin. So they already used this movie, and the thing about that was probably not a lot of people realized it. We at some point we'll talk about Rad. That was right in my Gen X wheelhouse, especially as like a young BMX kid. This movie had a 3-day at best theatrical run. It did terribly in the movie theater, but now, of course, it's like a cult status thing with 80s pop culture coming back. So it was already used in an iconic segment, which is like, but I'm sure the people that made this movie I'm assuming this was Universal.
It's Universal, yeah.
It has to be, right? So I'm assuming they never even knew about this because the movie Rad went under the radar in the 80s.
It's funny too.
So good though.
It's funny too. By the way, the international distributor was Carolco. I think it's called Carolco, which is I was reading about this, is like, you know, that movie Cutthroat Island, that's considered like the biggest bomb ever. That was the movie that put them out of business. So that's that company, which is interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting little bit of trivia.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you brought this up about Semi and Angel, because Real Life's album Heartland had the the song on it. And I think that album came out in 83 or 84. And
That's
then
amazing.
and then they did what was very 80s like. And I always thought about this. I'm like, where did the whole mantra of like Madden 94, NHL 95, like where did this come from? And it comes from music, as far as I understand, with people doing remixes or re-releases, and they would call it like I think the Police even did it, where they did like every breath I take 87 or something. And this was, so this version of the song, which is really no different, I think it's just remastered, is Real Life's Send Me an Angel 89. And I think it was on I think they released it as a separate single, like they did a whole new music video for it. So I think this was all synced up in some way,
so it was a whole
to like
thing.
relaunch it. It's such a weird, peculiar 80s thing to like, release like a slight remaster or remix and then put a date on it. And I think that was adopted by games, and now that's really associated with games, but I don't think it always was. So yeah, Real Life's Send Me an Angel 89 is what makes an appearance in this. I love that you brought that up organically.
That's really cool.
We didn't play that.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Because I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to say anything about Send Me an Angel, because I can go on and on about that fucking band. I love Real Life. So.
What is the thing? What is the magic with this song, right? Because you think of a lot of 80s things that are just like steeped in 80s, and they date themselves because of that very thing. This song could not be more 80s, whether it was the synth, the flavor of the singing, the vocals, all the things. It's so 80s, but it still holds up so well in a modern context. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what the difference is between something that's, like terribly 80s and something that just is timelessly 80s.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say, because it is incredibly 80s. So it's not that
it really is.
It's not that it can get away from that, but like it's like you said, I really do love new wave and synth and all of that stuff. So I wonder like what people really think of this movie outside of that, this song, because obviously the chorus is iconic. Like it's almost like two different songs. I love how different the chorus is than the song, because it's just got that like doom 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 in the verse. Do you believe you live it up? It's so good. I fucking love that song so bad. That album's great. Heartland. Really, really like
I don't think I've ever heard. I don't think I even realized that band was Australian.
Yeah, they're Australian. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So definitely, I when I looked up trying to find stuff like theatrical trailers and stuff for The Wizard, there was like a very well populated YouTube video of like the Send Me an Angel montage only that like people are like definitely watching. So they're feeling that.
Good taste. Good. I mean, the score in this movie is really good, and the needle drops. Like the music in general in this film is really good. It's very 80s and thereby nostalgic, but it holds up. It's really well done. It's really kind of synced really nicely with the visuals.
Yeah, there's
which a lot of 80s movies don't have.
Yeah, there's
seems like an afterthought.
It's funny that there's like a couple of New Kids on the Block songs on this soundtrack.
There is, yeah.
Which is funny because 89 is kind of like, I think New Kids on the Block's like 87 kind of starts coming out 88, 89 is like when they're starting to really crescendo. So it's good timing. And then there's some like weird shit on there. Like there's a Bobby Brown song on there. Patsy Cline, I think, is on there. A few things. So, and of course there's like a whole score as well. But next up, we finally meet Lucas. And Lucas is probably obviously, like you said earlier, the Mario 3 thing is like iconic in this movie, but Lucas is like really the iconic character. In some ways, Dave, he's not as extreme as I remember him. Like he is like a caricature.
Yeah.
But he's kind of cool. And I didn't cringe at him or anything like that. He is so strange. Like the strangest thing about him is not like his 80s isms or anything, but rather that he has like this group of people that dote on him, like hand him his Power Glove in a case and like take the games. Like there's a scene where like they open the door for him. Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
He's got goons.
Yeah, he's got goons.
Right.
It's played by a guy named Jackie Vincent. He doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, so I don't think he's really. It's so funny. Like these iconic guys, like they don't pop up in anything else. Like, how did you find your way into this movie? And like, what do you think about your your sterling reputation in this film? Like people love you. People dress up at Halloween as you and shit. You know, it's so funny.
That would be a great Halloween costume.
Yeah,
I have to say that's amazing.
And he's got like the crazy, like his hair is so feathered. It's almost very late. It's like a very extreme 80s meets like a James Dean thing almost that he's got going on with his hair, where it's like it almost looks modern, like the Mahomes haircut, like how that became a thing. It's like there's a whole thing to him. And you can see this, and I wanted to definitely bring this up with you, is that he's covered head to toe in Vision.
Vision streetwear.
Yeah, which is a big sponsor in this movie, obviously, because it's everywhere. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about our boy Lucas and his power.
I feel like this was late for Vision streetwear too. And by the way, shout out to Freddie Savage's Vision Boneyard board. I don't remember that. I don't even remember that board. I looked up like a CCS catalog, a California Cheapskates mail order catalog from that era. And I want to say the Vision Boneyard was like even earlier. Like it could have been 86 because I started skating in 87. And I don't remember that. But Vision had a lot more. It's an interesting choice because they had a lot more flashier boards in terms of graphics and shapes than that board. That could have been a little closer to 89 and a little more contemporary. So that Vision Boneyard was a weird, less ostentatious choice to promote Vision, which was interesting. Yeah, the Lucas character, man. I mean, he's the iconic 80s antagonist. And it's funny too, because I did remember him as more of a villain, like more sinister, like the prototype Draco Malfoy type dude. And he's not even really a bad guy or aggressive in any way until later on when the kids arrive in Culver City.
Right.
When they arrive at Video Armageddon.
He sells them out, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. But up until then, he's just good at video games.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing that happens, actually, in my opinion, because it would be cool for him to be more gray.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a guy that you encounter. Like, he's just confident. He doesn't give a fuck about you. Like, it's almost like he doesn't care about you.
Right. He's just good at video games.
Yeah, he's not worried about you. Like, it would almost be cool to like for him to have some regret later on that he could have like gotten you, but instead he helped you. Because he even guides his parents to them. Like, he's not like when they're in the cafe later and he's like, I'll tell you where they're going.
Yeah.
Like, so he's not being a dickhead in any way until that moment where he's like, they're right there.
Right.
It's like, you're threatened by Jimmy. Look around you. You're around like all these pros. Strange.
Right. You got to make him more of a villain. I think the first thing he says that's off color is like, he makes that gag like Jimmy's going to whiz on the fence or something. You know, he's going to the whiz, so he's going to like whiz all over.
Right. And then
whatever he says.
And then Haley's like, oh, maybe all over you. And it gets a little at that point. My opinion.
Right. So it's like, yeah, they had to make a rival or an obstacle. Like, this guy's good at video games. He's going to win the purse. He's the guy to beat type of thing. But then they sort of made him more of a villain the deeper you get into a movie. Here's the thing I found out about Jackie Vincent, though. Registered sex offender.
You're kidding.
Jackie Vincent. Yeah. Registered sex offender, notorious pederast.
Really?
And I think that was why he supposedly, based on whatever internet stuff I found, that's why he I think he already kind of shied away from the spotlight even before that.
Wow.
But I think probably with the rise in nostalgia, especially over this movie and whatever other few projects he did, people were fascinated. People are always fascinated with people that stop, right? It's like, whatever happened to this dude?
Why did I didn't even think of Google. I was just so disinterested. I didn't even Google him.
Yeah. He got hysterical. Up to no good. And registered sex offender, Jackie Vincent. But kind of a weird, he's got that prototypical 80s villain kid look that later on, that you'd pattern Draco Malfoy. He's handsome. He's got the best clothes. He's got the lackeys. He's surrounded by the goons that are cheering him on. It's like the whole, it's so 80s. I feel like that whole thing started in the 80s, and you had to have that. You had to have the nemesis, the rival.
Sure.
Right.
Jackie
and he had to be good looking, and he had to have all the things you didn't have, and he had to, sometimes they would have the girl, and some, if they were old enough, they would have all the girls, and they would have all the swag and all the shit. He's got the power glove. He's also, do we ever really, besides, we see him playing some games leading up to Video Armageddon. So he's got some skills to back up the hype.
Yeah. He's like,
interesting.
In the deleted scenes, there's like a throwaway line that his dad owns like the restaurant they're at. So he has like some money, I think, because he's like, I have 97 of them or whatever. Like, having 97 NES games is a lot of NES games.
Dude, I had like 5 games.
Yeah, that's like our neighbors, the Kochers. Like, they had a shit ton of games, and I'm not even sure they had 97 games. So it's like, that's a lot of games, man. to have.
At $50 a pop. Think about that in '89.
Yeah, it's like
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, everyone had like these tiny little. My NES collection didn't get impressive until after the NES was dead, because that's like when games were either discounted or like you can get them for really cheap used. Like I tell people all the time, like Funko Land couldn't give away some of this shit, man. It's so funny.
Funko era.
Remember I was bringing this up because people are like, that was a thing where I was like, yeah, remember you used to get newspapers at Funko Land.
Yeah.
And the newspaper had like the pricing of all the games. They would publish a new one like every month or something. And they would have penny games.
Yep.
Games that was thing. It would literally 1 cent.
Yep.
That's the thing that happened. That's
100%
true. And it's like, dude, that's so funny. It's like they couldn't give this shit away. Like they couldn't. I remember I bought Mega Man 6 used and at Funko Land, like not too long after it came out. That came out in like 94. I probably bought it in like 95. I rented it and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I finally could buy it. And I went to Funko Land in Icelandia.
I remember that one. I totally remember.
And on Long Island, for people that don't know, and I paid $16, I think, for it. Or something.
That was, I was trying to think. I wish I had a number, and I'm sure you could do the research and you could do the fact checking, but like I wish I had a number of what would have been a premium price for a rare game back then. And I bet it's not higher for the most obscure title. $50.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I remember like the role playing games were on NES, especially in SNES, because they were so underpublished, were the rarest games. And I remember in the late 90s, you might be able to spend $100 on Dragon Warrior 4 complete, like everything, like all the bots, the manual, the maps. And that was about as crazy as it got.
Yeah.
I used to just buy so much shit on eBay, dude. Like, and what's funny, I've told this story too, is I was not old enough to be using eBay. I was on eBay, I think in 96 and 97 at the latest. And
that's early.
Yeah. And you had to be 18 to use it, and you used to have to pay them. So I would sell things on there too, and you'd have to pay them by check. This is why they ended up using buying PayPal later on, which was an ingenious thing, you know.
100%.
To like merge them together and have like this digital currency. But I just never paid them. Like I just never paid eBay.
And they didn't really have any way to enforce it.
Yeah, they just let me keep going. Like it was weird. Like it was a weird thing. I would buy things, but I would sell things sometimes, and then you'd owe them like a cut of that. I'm like, I'm not paying you. You know? And then as an adult, I made a new account, and I was obviously on the up and up with them now, because I haven't used eBay in probably 6 or 7 years. I was buying G.I. Joes on there at some point, but
oh yeah, you were.
But anyway, that's just so funny, man. But yeah, like it's just so funny to think how trivial a lot of this shit was. Like I've said it ad nauseum. I fantasize about like going back to some of the situations I so clearly remember where I'm like, dude, this KB Toy Stores is covered in Jaguars.
Yeah.
You know? Or Virtual Boys or whatever. Like they can't give this shit away. I like $10, $15. Like it's like, oh, I'll take them all. Like if I knew what I'd be like, I'll take everything. In fact, I'll take all of the games that you have, every one of them. Give me every copy of Super Metroid, every copy of Mega Man X, every copy of, Clay Fighter, every copy, like whatever, like, and I'll just put them in boxes.
Dude, can you imagine? Hindsight being 2020.
Yeah, it's like
and you know what the saddest part of all that is? These things, to a large degree, ended up in landfills. Like, there's no way, because where would they be? Somebody didn't just buy them and jam them into their attic or basement. These things are just gone.
Yeah, I think they did end up throwing a lot of shit away. And
you know what I mean? They just dumped it.
It's a shame.
Really sent it back for pennies on the dollar or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. I tell you this, I don't know if this is an anomaly. I never sold anything on eBay in my entire life. Did a lot of buying on eBay, especially retro video games. Until like 3 or 4 months ago, I finally sold something on eBay. It took me so long to get paid that I will never do it again. It was insane.
Yeah, I pay immediately. That's why you got to give a person, or put that in a review or whatever. That's what keeps everyone honest.
I don't think it was the person.
Oh.
I don't think it was the person. I think something got caught. And again, it could be this anomaly. Maybe I just had bad luck. Something got caught in the crossfire where it was like eBay. There was some kind of miscommunication or something. I'm 100% almost sure that it wasn't the payer.
Interesting.
It was just eBay.
Yeah, that makes.
And then they finally let it go. They finally gave me the. And I was like,
maybe they do like monthly payouts or something. Maybe I don't know what it is for them.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
I mean, there's got to be some kind of system.
I haven't sold something on eBay in 25 years, probably at this point.
Wow. Unbelievable. They just bought Depop actually from Etsy, but didn't advertise it. I never even known Etsy owned Depop. Now eBay owns Depop apparently.
Interesting. But, I like Etsy as well. I shop on
like
Etsy every now and again.
That's a really cool marketplace.
Yeah, it's awesome. I really like it. I don't know how they get away with a lot of the shit they do there, but I think I just don't think they ask any questions.
I don't know either. It's the Wild West. But it isn't. That's the weird thing. It's not the Wild West anymore. Like, this has been going on for a couple of decades.
So there's a scene, Dig, that comes up where the Woods stay. So the Nick and Sam Woods stay at this ratty motel. Is that not the grossest mattress you've ever seen in your life? Like, what is going on? And like, you're really and it's like not even a sheet on it.
I'm so uncomfortable with that whole scene.
Yeah, it's weird. They're in like a twin. It's like a full size bed maybe together. The blanket is gross. Like, it's this white blanket. It really does play it up. But it's funny because when you get a better shot of the hotel room, it's like not all, like only the bed is like really decrepit. It's strange. Like, they're like, get the shittiest bed you can find as we build this set out or whatever. But everything else seems like okay. It's a little run down.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. 80s, but
the scene is somewhat important because this is like what you were saying earlier when they're kind of trying to have like, you know, especially Nick talking to his dad, trying to kind of have like a sentimental moment with him.
Right.
You realize that maybe it's because of the reminder of Jennifer or whatever, because they're just talking about it. Like, remember when we used to take all these trips and we'd stay in places like this and we would do this. And he's probably in his head, he's probably like, yeah, it was like 2 years ago. I remember. But then they pull out the NES, and I do like the scene how he like walks out into the car and like gets the NES and then plugs it in.
Dude, it's in the back of it's in the bed of the pickup truck.
It's so funny. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. A lot high trust, man, I'll tell you.
I had to rewind it. I was like, did he just get that out of the bed of the pickup truck?
It's so funny, dude.
I love shit like that.
And yeah, so they end up playing games together. And this is what we were saying earlier is the Ultra TMNT, like the bespoke NES TMNT game that everyone hates, is a game that they focus a lot on here. And I think it's very cute that when he wakes up the next morning, you know, now the dad's playing the game and he's like really into it. I think that's a funny little turn there. And now he's addicted as well. Meanwhile,
and wasn't that the dream?
Yeah,
wasn't that the dream when you were a kid to have that adult that played with you, that was into it with you? We had Uncle John.
Yeah, Uncle John liked Nintendo.
He was an adult that liked Nintendo.
Yeah, that's true.
He was really the only one. It was like you couldn't even get your mom to play Tetris for 5 minutes. That would have been like a dream come true. It was just like a thing that they just did not do.
Yeah, they didn't do it. Like, they weren't even. I'm sure it was different for different people, but like they weren't even interested. It wasn't even like they never saw a single thing that was for them like, yeah, okay, I get this. Like, as an adult, mom has gotten, she doesn't play, but she like understands the space more and understands games a little bit more. I think dad is still kind of nonplussed by all of it, you know?
Yeah, it was just kind of like not in his, as it wasn't on his radar.
It's just so strange. I just think people then, and they certainly don't now too, like they just don't get it. And I know that sounds like
no, it's true,
dismissive thing, but like they just don't understand what it is. It's not even that they have to like it. It's that they just don't think anything of it. And I'm like, I don't think you get it. Like, I don't think you get what's going on here. I don't think you get that this isn't, it can be anything you want it to be, but like, there's like better storytelling here and character development and interaction and immersibility or immersion and all of the rest than you would ever get in a movie or a TV show. And I think they just think of it as like this pastime, like you're killing things and doing it. I'm like,
it's not for us. They had this sentiment of like, the boomers were a generation that just I hate to say it like this, but like they just suffered from like not being inquisitive at all. Like they just dismiss things as like, this is not for us. It's for younger people, where I feel like that stopped with Generation X. Not that Generation X is into everything, but Gen Xers know like TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
They might not be on it every day,
mm-hmm.
but we're the curiosity and, you know what I mean? The genuine, interest of finding out what's this all about. Like that generation, the boomers just largely didn't have that. That's why when there was one of them that showed an interest in something that most of them didn't, it was really special. And, it got to the point where dad didn't understand how to hook up an NES, where it was like, this man could take out an engine and rebuild it. He can't plug it. He doesn't understand how a coax cable works. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, it is. And I think it wasn't until I was like 10, 11, 12 that I was like, oh, I don't need my parents to hook up my game console for me. Like it's right because I remember it used to be like kind of a thing. Like can you move the console for me from like this TV to this TV? Like it had to be like it was like a thing. And then you realize it's like this is it.
That's all. Yeah. Because you would think that it was like, what the hell, we're rebuilding the space shuttle.
Right, exactly. It's like, what are we doing here?
Meanwhile, he had an engine of a 57 Chevy taken apart in the garage. He's rebuilding it.
It's like Dr. Wily in there. And meanwhile, he's fucking...
So weird.
Yeah, it is weird. That's funny that you say that because I think that was like, it's one of those subtle things as a kid where you're like, oh, this must be hard. Yeah. Like you just don't even imbibe it at all. You're like, oh yeah, this is not for me.
Until you find out. It's just like, this is a weird thing that they just don't get. It's not that they don't get it. They didn't want to get it. Can we just say that?
No, yeah.
Can we just throw the boomers under the bus? They didn't want to get it.
I'm sick of the boomers. I mean, I love our parents, but like just the generation generally. It's just like, you fucking weirdos.
They're a bit much.
Yeah, it's... They're
a bit much.
Time for everyone to be a little more quiet.
Don't say it.
No. Don't say it.
Don't say it.
Just be quiet. You don't have to die.
No, don't die.
Don't die, but just be quiet. All right.
And stop pretending you were always the way you are now with the grandkids.
Oh my God.
Please stop it.
That used to bother me less, but as I've gotten older, it bothers me more because now I know for a fact, like based on my own remembrances, I'm like, this isn't the way it happened. You're fucking full of shit.
Dude. Yeah. It's some kind of generational pact amongst millions of them. Like they just all agree to present themselves a certain way where the grandkids are incredulous.
What was the thing Dad said to Allie that everyone was like so incredulous about? Was like that he French braided her hair or something? Like
did he say that?
Yeah, like something like that. Allie's like, what are you
even I know that's ridiculous
talking about? Like that's funny.
I don't know. Is it insidious or is it like just that they're misremembering?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not insidious. It's probably just false memories. I remember probably a lot of things wrong too. Yeah.
All right, you've had it. Have we given them enough?
Yeah, that's enough.
We've given them. All right.
If Dad's listening, he's like, "Oh, we got 2.5 hours in before we end it."
Just when you think you're out of the woods, Dad.
So, yada yada yada. The crew ends up holing up in a movie, like an old abandoned like drive-in movie theater, which is kind of cool.
Love that.
And there's a little bit more character development here. This is where he's knocking the boxes over as he's building them. Like he's like so upset. He's incensed about it. And
so mean.
So we kind of glossed over it earlier, but because it is kind of a quick scene. And again, in the deleted scenes, it's much more deliberate. But earlier in the movie, like when F1 Dream is shown, and I was saying how like, why is this movie in the game? And it must have something to do with Romstar. And so they kind of like rip these older kids off who like these older like teenage kids think they're going to like, steal the money from these kids. So yeah, that's not over yet. And when they're at the abandoned drive-through theater, they somehow find their location and they like this is the second time now after getting roughed up, they get robbed by these adults. And also the hat getting taken. This is one of those things where I'm like, that was a dub. And it's when he's like, thanks for the hat, loser, or whatever. And it's because like they want you to be like, he took the hat. Like notice that he took the kid's hat. That's going to be important later. So I noticed that, which was funny. So they're back with no money. Again, these very brave, industrious children. They're ringers. Like they're not really ripping people off. They kind of are, I guess. They know what they're getting themselves into, but like,
yeah, they're hustling.
Yeah, they're hustling people.
It's fair.
But they get robbed of all their money, and we finally see within Jimmy's lunchbox as well, which has been this kind of device the entire movie, but we don't really know what it's all about. And inside are some various keepsakes, like an old baby shoe and some pictures, which they go through. And we learn here, and I think this is where we learn that Nick is kind of responsible for what happened to Jennifer, and that Christine doesn't really like Nick because of this, and it caused a lot of strain, which is why the families are separated. I guess the boys are really separated from the rest of the family. And this is where Corey kind of gets this jolt in him to be like, maybe we're doing the wrong thing, and tries to like quit. And then Jimmy finally says something that's not California, which is like, he doesn't want to quit. He wants the game. And so they opt to double down. And so a pretty important seismic shift here in the movie as they have, because they really are kind of like just using Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy we don't know like what under what volition Jimmy is really participating in all of this.
Right.
So
That's true. Yeah. Right? I mean, Corey is he's his heart's in the right place because he's taking him to California, and it's sort of this open-ended thing of like, all right, that's what you want. I'm going to rescue you from this home, and then I'm going to take you to California because that's what you keep rambling on about. And it was this like brotherly love thing of like, let's do what this kid wants. So it was kind of this open-ended thing. We're just going to California. Then it becomes a thing of like, oh, well, he's really good at video games, and there's a $50,000 purse on the line, so we could tie that. That seems like a nice thing to accomplish while we're on our way there anyway, right? That type of thing. So it becomes this other thing, but it's a kind of a weird way that they get there.
Yeah, indeed. And then meanwhile, we have Putnam kind of stalking different random arcades, and we get a little bit of information here that he's kind of like on their tail. He's learning that there's a girl with them now and that they're hustling people at these different arcades. So it's kind of cool, actually, like this little, again, somewhat unbelievable tale of this guy trying, like, just call ahead, like try to figure it's but it's 89, it's the analog era.
Hey,
so I guess it makes some level of sense. I like the scene with him where the kid's playing in the pinball machine, and he like tips it when he's like talking shit to him. Now, I did want to say this about Putnam, and I don't know if you noticed, I don't know how many times he does it. He does it at least twice, but I think it's maybe 3 or 4 times, which is he does this thing where he's like seeing these kids, and he'll show the pictures, and then he'll look behind him. Like he'll look behind him and like it's like he practiced this move.
I don't think I noticed
that he does over and over again. And he's like he's so funny. Like the character is just so funny. He's just in everyone's faces all the time. Like just putting these pictures in front of people's faces, very aggressive with his bolo tie, very strange.
Very strange character. Trying to really figure out a thread with him, but I don't think there is one.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Just an eccentric character.
Yeah, and at the end when he's like celebrating, it's like this. So this was all for nothing. Like you were just a complete waste of time.
Totally for nothing. He just becomes one of the team.
But Putnam's closing in on the kids, and the kids now opt to head to Reno, and they finally arrive at Reno now that they have kind of direction and they know they're getting closer to Los Angeles. So This is where Haley's from, and Haley obviously knows this world very well. So she goes to a casino where it's a Harrah's, I think, where she helps this guy that we don't really know yet, Spanky. And again, in the deleted scenes, you would have met him already at this point, by the way.
Okay.
They meet him like at another arcade machine and have like a conversation with him. So like he's introduced in some way. And by the way, it makes more sense because he's playing craps. She like gives him advice. I don't play craps. I don't really understand craps very well, but I'm pretty sure it's a game of chance. So I don't really understand
how she would.
Yeah. Know. Like what, like she's like, so like, he's so confident that she had this savant, like craps is a very sophisticated game though. I don't really understand it.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I love gambling. Like I gamble at casinos. People know that. I'm like, craps is too intimidating for me. I don't even know what I'm doing. But it puts into more context. So they end up winning $400 from his ride. This is a deleted scene that should have stayed in the movie. And this is why I'm like, I don't understand this, because she seems like such a dickhead. Because she gives him $10.
Yeah.
And then takes $390. But you learn in this scene that, you know, they have a little conversation at the arcade machine. You learn that that's like a friend of her dad's. And she's like, I really need help. And he's like, I'm broke. I don't have any money. And she's like, well, what do you have? And he has $10. So he uses that $10 and agrees to go to the craps table to play and then gets his money back. So like she could have given him a little extra, but like that is why specifically she gave him $10 back, because that was the $10 that they wrote on or whatever.
All right. That makes more sense now.
So, but because that was a funny scene I wrote in my notes before I had seen the scene where I'm like, what, like, why is he so amped to receive $10? He's almost acting like he's like mentally handicapped or something.
Yeah, they kind of intimate that he's not playing with a full deck.
Yeah, you get that vibe. Like you get that vibe from him. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
So they take the money and they hole up at a I guess a resort casino. Kind of a new thing at this point. Resort casinos are products of the 80s, even in Vegas. So this must have been a pretty new thing. Like they're around the pool, hanging out. And I like these scenes a lot, Dave, because they call the Nintendo hotline, Nintendo Power Hotline, which they obviously don't acknowledge as that. And again, I assume it's a set, but if you've seen pictures or videos, of which there are quite a few from that time, it is dead ass accurate. And I'm like, maybe it is.
Looks like that.
They could have. It's very similar to what when we did Grandma's Boy back in the day. It's like that is the Game Informer office. You know, like that's why it's set up like that and looks like that. And they have all this shit because it's like that. It's not like a set. And so it could be a similar thing here. But I loved seeing that. And I'm fascinated. Do you ever see the video that goes around every once in a while of ABC News in the late 80s when they go to the Nintendo Power Hotline and it's just like a guy talking to people over the phone? It's like B-roll.
No,
I guess.
I don't know if I've seen that.
I'll send it to you. It's pretty cool. I never called. I was, and I'm sure you were too, by our parents. Like, never in a million years would I have called a 900 number.
Forbidden for a 900
Oh my God!
number.
Because not only would you not get away with it, you'd have to wait until the phone bill came. Like, you could theoretically run the bill up, you know.
Oh yeah,
and no one wouldn't really be the wiser. So like,
not for
so
weeks.
it'd be horrible. It'd be like a horrifying thing, like the sword of Damocles hanging over your neck, you know. And I've told the story about how when we had dial-up in the late 90s, I accidentally called into a number on Long Island that on AOL that was technically a long-distance number, and I ran up $600 in a month.
Holy shit.
And Dad was obviously flipping out, reasonably so, but he called them, and he was like, this was obviously an accident. Like, well, obviously we didn't mean, and they're like, all right, and they just got rid of it. So, which was a relief, because that probably happened pretty often back in the day, I would assume.
I would imagine.
And you just don't do it again. And if you probably did it again, then they'd be like, well,
then they'd be like, oh, listen, this happened last month.
So, yeah, it was cool to see into the, so I never called. That was the cool thing about Uncle John. You brought up Uncle John. It's like, he would talk about how he would call those numbers, and like, he was an adult, so he had money to buy the games and like do whatever. And he would get advice from them about things. And I was always fascinated. And that was one of the things I was fascinated about with the real footage from ABC is like, these guys just know things. Like, I think in one of the videos he's talking about, like, someone's talking about why he can't pick up the white sword in The Legend of Zelda. And he's like, oh, you don't have enough heart pieces. Like, he does, and he's playing like some other game, and he's on like a headset. Right.
He just happens to know.
And they have
and
they're surrounded by all these binders, and like, and people. I would love to access that information. Like, that must exist somewhere in the archives at Nintendo or whatever.
Binders, like those binders.
People had to like give you answers in a timely way that wouldn't waste your money. Because it was like $5 a minute or something crazy, you know?
It was crazy.
So I was cool to see into that world. And again, a little promotion of what they were doing there. But did you ever call that number?
Once. I called it one time. And I don't know why. Because I played, you know how it was. I played so many Nintendo games. So I'm not sure why this was the straw that broke the camel's back. But I was trying to beat Castlevania. And I don't know if we borrowed Castlevania from somebody or if I just kept renting it. The first Castlevania, but I could not beat Dracula. I could not beat the second form of Dracula, the quote unquote cookie monster.
Right.
And I finally broke down and called, knowing full well what the repercussions would be. And the guy just told me what I already knew. He's just like, you gotta like jump between the fireballs and time your jumps and then hit him in the head. Like, he didn't help me at all. And I was so crestfallen by that. Like, I was just, because I really thought, I don't know why that was the struggle, because I played a lot of and beat a lot of hard games, and I played and didn't beat a lot of hard games.
Well, the key with that cookie monster boss is like, you have to have the holy water, right, to like freeze them. Otherwise, it's like really hard.
I don't even know if I did it that way. But yeah, I know what you mean, because you freeze them in place to keep them static, and then it would make it easier.
Yeah, like you used a boomerang on the first Dracula, and then you kept the candle on the far left, which was holy water. You had to keep it, leave it alone, like not hit it.
That's what it was.
Which was like, it's so hard to do, you know?
Wow, you got a good memory. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. And did I try to keep the boomerang for the second form and the whole thing? And I must have done it so many times that it was just like to the point where I was desperate. And I was just like, there must be, feeling like there must be something I'm missing here. And, I'm 15, 16 years old at that point. I'm not a baby, right? So it's just like, what am I missing? Like the frustration just mounted, and I was just like, I have to call. That was the only time. And it's funny. I wish I remembered what the reaction was. I'm sure there was one, but it must have not been too bad, because I don't remember getting like chewed out.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Right? Or anything like that.
Because the other option would have been to nip it in the bud and be like, I just call this number, here's like $10 or whatever.
Yeah, I would have never done that.
Yeah.
No, I would have never done it. I was way too irresponsible. Yeah. It would be better to like suffer in silence, which just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's so funny. I love that. And this is what I was saying too. Like, I do like the scene. It's just like, it shows she's like doing all the legwork while Jimmy's using the Play 10 or the Play Choice 10 in the arcade at the casino. And it's cool. She brings up, now we have to say this, like, I don't understand. It comes off as so advertorial in a way, just because it's like, she brings up Simon's Quest. They show Metroid and RC Pro Am, like things that are not played even for scores. It's like, what are we doing here? But again, you can't think about it too deeply, but they're like just trying to master every game. And it's really like ridiculous when you think about it. Like and she's doing it all from the Nintendo Power Hotline while he like segues that success. And that was the other thing I was thinking too was, would it have been cheaper and easier to like go to a pawn shop and get like an NES and then try to rent games or something? Probably not. Maybe they were doing it the most efficient way they could, but I was a little troubled by how many quarters they must have been dumping into that machine. Must have been a little frustrating for them at some point.
100%. Kyle, that's the thing about, I was thinking, you and I have definitely talked about this on shows before. We've definitely alluded to it, but the score thing, when, you know, in the advent of video games and arcade machines and dating back to earlier arcades in the 70s and into the 80s and Atari 2600, where points in video games was largely the goal. Arguably, the advent of the NES ushered in games that felt more contemporary, and the tide changed where it was like, now it's about completing a game, completing an adventure, seeing how far you could get, seeing what level you could get to, seeing the ending, seeing what boss you get to. Think of things like Zelda, Metroid. Nintendo was largely responsible for all those things.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Up until Super Mario 2, where it was like it was the same thing. It was such a departure from Super Mario 1 because it wasn't the point-based thing anymore. It was about completing levels and exploring this world. But they kind of walked that whole, and it felt like things were evolving in that direction. And then pretty soon you'd get to the co-op gaming era with Street Fighter and all that kind of thing. And gaming would really take a departure from that very old school sort of points based. That's the achievement system based in video game. That whole thing, it was changing. But they walk that whole thing back a little bit with SMB3 in that they put points in again, which seemed like so not necessarily it was a bad idea. Maybe you could argue that it added even more dimension because you had the progression and the levels and the difficulty and the bosses and exploring different worlds and getting from point A to point B, but you also had the points in there. So maybe it was like a thing of like cramming everything into the game. But so Super Mario Brothers 3 was kind of an anomaly in that I was like, wait, why are they going backwards again? Being old enough to recognize that. Whereas like, why is this even in here?
Right.
So in 1989, it already seemed like, and you know, being 15, 16 years old, it already seemed like really old school to be talking about points in video games. Where it would be like, if I was watching this in 1990 or 91, I was like, why are they even talking about
that's
this?
why I wonder. I mean, I guess it's the easiest way to visualize it, but you'd think it would just be like, who would get, like Mario 3 is like this game, like who can get to the first boss first or whatever, because there's like a way to kind of carve through the game, and it is interesting. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's a great point about points and how they went away. And even I liked games were reluctant to let them go. Like you can tell. I love that about the original Mega Man. Like there's no reason to have a point system in that game. And how you get like randomized amount of points for beating bosses and stuff. It's like, who gives a shit? Like, well, and then eventually they just got rid of that. But then there were games that kind of had a hard time getting rid of it, specifically Castlevania in 1 and 3 and 4 on SNES.
Oh, you're right.
But you could get like extra lives while you're playing. So like there was a reason to have points. Ninja Gaiden did a similar thing. It's like
they did.
So I liked how they tried to figure out a way to keep them by making them more useful. And I think eventually that everyone realized like we don't really
phased it out.
Right. Like,
largely.
I don't give a shit about point. Like I would rather, even in like a space shooter or an arcade game, it's like give you currency or something. Like that's kind of what a point system is now, which makes sense. And that's what we do in Saint Slayer to a degree.
Oh, that's cool.
So let's see here. So they're studying. They're at the place. This is happening while Putnam and the Woods run to each other again at another town. They just keep finding themselves in the same places. And Putnam pays a guy $50 to tow their truck away. And this is interesting because their truck, I guess, is stripped. But then I don't know what the insinuation is. Like at first, I thought they were driving a different truck, but they're not. They're driving the same truck. So they put it back together, I guess. Is that what the insinuation is? Because I thought
I think so.
They show this truck stripped down to like nothing. So I guess they realized that they were mistaken. They put it all back together. Because I thought the guy was just going to get it towed and then you have to pay to get it released. But like he was going to tow the truck and then steal it. Like I don't even understand. Like this is the biggest level of criminality probably in the whole movie. Is this specific scene? It's like, so the guy paid you $50 and you were going to slyly just steal the car. You weren't towing it. You weren't like putting it in your lot to be impounded. That's interesting kind of.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of time limit on that where it's like you have 30 days to claim your car before we sell it off to the junkyard.
Right.
It's scrap.
It's a very weird situation, but they end up over there and we see them later, like putting the truck back together and all of the rest. And while this is, well, before this even happens, Nick identifies, and this goes in earlier with one of the goons taking the hat. He identifies that they're wearing one of their hats, which is cool. Cool.
I love the hat as a device. Yeah. I think that's really cool.
And I was even thinking that would be like such an obscure logo to get a shirt with that logo on it.
Love that.
Would be kind of neat. They do make. I was wondering. I'm like, I wonder if anyone has like the video Armageddon shirts, still like the old ones. They printed obviously a bunch of them, but they make repros. But I'm like, I wonder if any like pops up every once in a while where like this is the original video Armageddon T-shirt from the film. That would be kind of neat as well.
That would be really cool.
And this is where Lucas steps in and tells them where he is. So again, kind of a gray character. Like he's not really doing anything wrong yet. And so everyone knows now that the kids are heading to LA. And so everyone's kind of going to that direction. But Putnam learns that, I guess, meanwhile, that they're in Reno and finds them. And this is when the car pulls up to the hotel and it's all fucked up, which is a really funny shot. Now, this is a weird scene for multiple reasons because, all right, first of all, and Micah pointed this out, so I have to give her credit for this. I don't know why I didn't notice that it was funny. There's a scene where Putnam rolls into the pool and is like asking people about things, and he goes to a counter and he talks to the woman at the counter, but like nearby is an old man in a Speedo.
Love this dude.
Why?
He's wearing like an old blue Speedo.
It's weird. It's like,
he's just standing there with his wiener hanging out.
Yeah, his dick is just hanging there, and it's like
just hanging out.
So I thought that was pretty. Well, Micah thought that was funny, and that is funny. I'm glad that she noticed that. But
people still wore those in the 80s, though.
I mean, Dad was wearing his Speedo into the 90s. We were talking about that at dinner yesterday. that would straight up go to the beach in a Speedo.
What changed though, in that it was once okay to see the outline of your entire wiener?
It's fucking. I don't know, man. What's funny about that? It was at a more culturally prude time.
Yeah,
you would.
It doesn't make any sense.
People would wear that shit now.
Yeah, be more inclined to do it in this day and age rather than back then.
It's bizarre as fuck. I mean, obviously everyone knows that. Like it's like your junk. It's totally on display, and it's not a good time for it to be on display because you're in and out of that ocean water. Like you're fucking around. I mean, you're playing with fire, dude. With people's perception.
100%. Whether it's big or small, it's not going to be a good look. You could see the outline of your twig and two berries. It's not a good. It's really, and then you're old, and I don't even know if it'd be better if you were hot and in shape or old and flabby. I mean, either way, it's
not good. It's very European as well. Very European.
Very European.
But there's a couple funny things that happen here too. So Putnam finally realizes that he finds the kids. He sees Corey and realizes like he's by himself. So Corey's not really the one he's after anyway. So he runs into the arcade to try to find these kids after showing more and more people these pictures and then looking around as he shows them the picture. Again, you'll see it if you look for it. And so two things funny happen here. First of all, Putnam finds Jimmy at the play choice machine and then picks him up. Like I don't like, and it almost looks like he's doing a wrestling move on him. And I'm like, why are you like, what? Why do you have to pick him up like this? And he says at some point while the security or the police are taking him away, like, I have the order for like this kid in my pocket. So like he blew it, because if he just acted normal and was like, listen, like this kid might not seem to come with me, but I hear the order. I'm hunting for this kid and I'm going to bring him back to his parents. Like this could have gone. Putnam would have won at that point. All he had to do was, but then there is the thing of, and again, this is like, this is Haley kind of acting untoward. She's like, he touched my breast.
She's in her street smarts, dude.
I know, but it's like, it's such a serious thing. Like she is telling the police that he touched a 14-year-old's boob. It's a pretty serious sitch.
I mean, this would all be so prescient once, what's his name? Jackie Vincent.
Oh my God.
got up to what he got up to.
Where was she when Jackie Vincent was doing all this? So So yeah,
it's a big thing. It's not Haley. It's not cool.
It's very funny. The way she delivers it is very funny. It's like a very funny delivery to it. She says it like very matter of factly. But it's like, yeah, so like this whole thing went pear-shaped because it didn't have to go this direction. Like even if she came in and said that about him, he could have still had the kid on the ground, like trying to figure it out and then like explained everything. But because he's like got the kid levered, like it looks like he's like, I don't know what he looks like he's doing with this kid. And then, so it looks all bad. And then, so he doesn't even have a chance to explain himself. So he blew it. Like this is the point where he blew it. He could have had it. It could have been over here at this point.
You're 100% right.
And it would have been a totally different world for like, should Lucas have won Video Armageddon, Jackie Vincent might not have ever gotten in trouble. Stupid. Doesn't even make any sense.
You're right. No, I mean, it's actually a good point if you think about it. Well, no, I guess he still doesn't make any sense.
So
I guess he should have.
Meanwhile, and so we cruise through a bunch of more stuff. Like we find out, you know, there's a romantic kind of like kiss scene between the two. Mm-hmm. This happens at Haley's house. She promises she lives in like kind of a palatial place, like a big house, but she really lives in a trailer. But you do learn that
goes the other way.
Her mom kind of fucked everything up, that they had a better life, and her dad is out like kind of trying to figure things out, and she like wants the money from Video Armageddon to kind of help get things going. So that's cool, and she doesn't really care. And they have the cute little scene on top of the roof. The being on the roof reminded me a little bit of a little piece of like, there are cool scenes that happen, like Walking Dead, being on the roof of the RV, or some video games like Dying Light or whatever. So like being able to see the vista around you and stuff like that. I would be up there all the time.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Gorgeous.
And that's the thing about filming in Nevada and California. And I assume pretty much all of it was filmed in Nevada, except for like the Universal Studios stuff. So it's just beautiful topography, beautiful weather. They always at golden hour. You can always tell they're filming like late in the day.
Yeah,
which is cool.
They milked that for all it was worth.
Right. Yeah.
That was a really cool thing about this movie. Like seeing that imagery, really nice. I mean, it's so different than what we're used to living in the Northeast, or you know, in your case, slightly into the South. We just don't have that type of topography. It doesn't look like that.
Right. The North South is
anything with mountains, really.
Yeah, but no. That was what was always, remember, another Kevin Arnold kind of thing is like where that show took place, and
yeah,
I feel like it takes place in California, just based on.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah, just based on like there's like mountains in the background. They might not have intended that, but
no,
they've never really said. I don't think, right? Like
no, they kept it dubious on purpose because they wanted it to be. I guess
any
they wanted
town,
it to
USA.
be universal.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah, but I always felt like it was in California. So, we find the guys. So Sam and Nick are now working on their truck, and there's another cool scene here where now Nick is working hard on kind of reconstructing the truck while Sam is playing Zelda 2. You don't see it though; you only hear it. And I think he references some things that would be out of Zelda 2 as well. But it's cool, and I just the sound effects of Zelda 2 are just so iconic.
They really
I love that game. I really do love that game.
I do too.
I don't know why people hate it so much. They really do hate it. Like a lot of people, and I'm like, I think it's fantastic.
It's so good. I understand the overworld looks wonky and plays wonky, but it doesn't even matter. That game is just so good anyway. It's just, yeah, I love it. And part of it's nostalgia goggles, rose tinted glasses, but a lot of it is just that's a good game. And I love it. Like, I know we talk about this to death, but it's like, I love the fact that it's such a departure from the first one, that they took such a shot with it.
They felt like they needed, I bring this up all the time, but like there was an era in NES, not everything. And I think the Mario 2 thing was overblown because we didn't know that they made a Mario 1 that was just like Mario 2. Or Mario 2 just like Mario 1. But
that's true.
There was this instinct with some people, some developers to be like, we have to do something different. Castlevania 2 is the classic example of that.
Classic. One of the most iconic.
But Zelda 2 is another great example of that too. And we thought Mario 2 was an example of that. And then with the third one, you revert back. That happened with Zelda, with Link to the Past, that happened with Mario, that happened with Castlevania.
Mario, yep.
And usually they're like the seminal versions of that original traditional form, even when you think about Mega Man 3, although the Mega Man games never really changed. And Ninja Gaiden doesn't really change either, to be fair.
No, it's true. Castlevania 1 to 3 is a great example of that. You're going back to the original formula, but you're adding, it's new Coke. You know what I mean? Like you're adding levels to it that the first one didn't have. It's an inventive play on the original. It's improved.
And Link to the Past is definitely that. Like, they put so much life into the game that didn't exist in the first one. And I love the original Zelda. I think the original Zelda is phenomenal, but there's nothing in it. There's like no indication of anything, really. It's just like you're just playing a game. Zelda Link to the Past is just, that fixes all of that.
I love that game.
So Putnam is now on the trail of Haley because of what happened. I guess he finds out her name or something. We find out her last name is Brooks at this point. He calls the operator, and it's another classic analog thing where he's like on the phone, on the pay phone with the operator with like a pen and paper, like writing things down, asking for people's addresses and shit. It's like things like I never did in my entire life. It's so funny, but like you could do this at one point.
Oh yeah.
And I always wondered how they had that information. Like at this point, it was probably computerized, very rudimentary, like computer, like an old library login system kind of thing where you would type things in. But like in the 70s and 60s, like how are they finding this information for you?
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. And I was also thinking recently, Dig, about like white pages and yellow pages and how important. I remember being a little kid and looking for us in them. Like you would get a new one and then you'd find like Moriarty or whatever in there. But like businesses and how important it was to like have an advertisement in the business, to be accurate and have an accurate presence in the book or whatever. It's so interesting.
Yeah, maybe the way you want to name your company to be earlier in the book. Like it was a whole thing.
Right.
It was a whole strategy.
I think that's why Apple was called Apple Computers.
That's so cool. I love stuff like that.
So now there's a funny scene. It means nothing. There's this blockade scene where so through the operator, Putnam finds out where Haley lives and goes and kidnaps Jimmy. We don't see it, but they're like waking up or whatever in the trailer and getting things together. And at this point, she calls in a favor with her friends, including Spanky and the truckers, who set up an illegal blockade of the highway in order to trap Putnam. I mean, Putnam's obviously in over his head at this point, but there's a scene I really love. And by the way, in the deleted scenes, there's like more to this, like where they pull him out of the truck and out of his car and shit. Like physically pull him out.
Oh shit!
Yeah, like by his leg or something. It's like it's funny. It's not like serious. And then, but I like this. Like Putnam, they find Putnam at a 7-Eleven. Like you just see him at a 7-Eleven. Film definitely on location at a 7-Eleven, which is dope. Like sitting in front of it.
Love that.
But I love the sign. It's a Pepsi 6-pack sign for $1.67.
$1.67 for 6.
So cans, presumably. You couldn't even get a bottle of a 20 ounce for like $2 at this point, man. It's just so crazy.
Nope.
So I like that as well. And by the way, I want everyone, and Locke, you definitely got to put this in. Spanky ultimately the last leg from Reno to LA, Spanky drives them. And what is, I think, said is the dad's truck. Now, again, deleted scene.
Okay.
You find out that Spanky borrowed the dad's truck and left it on empty. Like didn't fill it with gas. So this might also be connected to that, where like she's doing him a favor, like in this way. So like this whole Spanky character, who by the way, Michael looked up, the guy's name is Frank McRae. He was a football player, which I didn't know. He played for the Bears.
I didn't know that until I saw that. Yeah, but like briefly, right?
It's 1967 season, which is interesting.
That's hilarious.
But a big guy, obviously, and he did quite a few things. I think he's deceased, but he was an actor like of some repute, I guess.
He was around TV and movies, yeah, for sure.
And he's a big guy, like a big black guy. Like there's definitely like a lot you can do with that. You know, like he probably was perfect for this role and this role and this role. So good for him. But dude, the scene where he's driving them is so funny. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No, go ahead. I don't know. You could go a couple of different ways with this.
You got to look at the way he's using the steering wheel. Dude, he's driving like this. He's like, and like the wheel is just, but like they're not turning. Like it's like the shot from behind, and they're probably in the sound stage or whatever. And it's so fun. Like I rewound it and watched it several times because I'm like, dude, it's fucking insane. Like
it's like the video game controller thing.
I can't believe no one, like for him especially, I can't believe no one was like, all right, cut. Frank, drive, like
dial it back.
Just drive. Keep the wheel straight. Maybe you want to do a little bit of this or whatever. Like you don't got, like you're getting nuts with it, dude. All right, let's go again.
3 and 10.
Let's go again. Action. Like that's all it took. But instead they just use that.
Amazing.
I love you and I, like when we identify, like you had to use that. Like they have no other shot. Like this is the one. And it's so funny.
No, that might have been a case of it.
You look like a fucking doofus. Pay attention to that. I'm telling you. You'll see if you're watching the video version of this. It's hysterical.
I have a spatial thing in movies. You know, when they were blocking the road so Putnam can't get through, like he could there's clearly enough room to drive at least on one of the shoulders.
Right. I was thinking, I thought of the same thing too. It's like,
dude,
it's like,
I can't with that.
It's like how people make fun of Resident Evil or like The Last of Us or whatever, where it's like, this is like what's blocking your way forward. And Micah sent me a picture the other day. It was like a kiddie pool, like tipped sideways into like an aisle. And it's like, this is what's stopping you from advancing in Resident Evil or whatever.
That drives me nuts. You got to do better than that. Like you had, like all they had to do in that case was turn the cabs out. Right. And then you'd have the
Yeah. Like, so yeah, you come in like, and diverge.
Just enough to block the car. Please. I can't. Like, it's just like all he had to do is drive right by the truck.
Well, that's what's so funny too. Like, he doesn't seem like he cares much about his own life either, because in the scene where Nick comes out with or not Nick, but Sam comes out with the shovel and he's destroying his car. Like, he could have, after he stabbed the tires and then he like used the knife and they like ran away from him, like, get in the car and go.
Yeah, just go.
But instead he just sits there as he's like wailing on his car, like fucking the thing up. So like, he just seems like this guy gets paralyzed. Because you're right, like you can just be like, and like, what are they gonna do? Like, get the trucks going? Like they're all fucked now. They're facing each other. If you just like go, like, you're done. Like, they're never gonna fucking catch you.
Right? They can never turn around.
Like, it's gonna take forever. They have to do 15-point turns. You could be fucking gone.
That's gonna be Austin Powers, like,
right? Speaking of
45. Oh, dude, that's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I can suspend my disbelief, but some things just bother me, and usually it's spatial things like that. So it's weird.
I get it.
Yeah,
totally.
Very, very weird.
Totally understand.
It's pet peeve.
All right, so we find ourselves finally at Universal Studios. Video Armageddon. We went to Universal in 92.
Yeah, that was the first time I was ever there.
And so this was a few years later. I don't remember it very well. This, I assume, was a bit of an advertisement for it too, which was cool.
Oh yeah,
but nothing really IP driven. I noticed like a lot of like weird, like the Frankenstein monster or like shit like
the monsters,
right, like things that were,
and King Kong,
right?
Yeah, that was it.
Cool to see it. Cool that like when the chase is going on a little later, you kind of get into the bowels of it. Pretty dangerous, actually. Probably get crushed under something or fucking.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Because it looked like they were really on set.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me too. And it's like, yeah, a little fucking bonkers down here. I don't think I want to be down here. It's a little scary.
There's like pyrotechnics and flames going off and overhead beams, and this is like, all right, these kids are going to get maimed. Like, what's happening? Moving parts, giant gears, meshes, and everything. It's like, whoa.
But they end up at the theater, decorated 1989 style with all of these different tubes, like these colorful tubes everywhere. It's so pretty dope.
Love it.
Now we get introduced in short order to two vital characters putting on the performances of a lifetime. Number one is the guy that checks them in.
Dude,
he was made for this role. He was waiting for it.
Chewing the scenery.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Unbelievable.
He was awesome.
Let's shout out to that guy. The orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden.
First orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Iconic. That guy made the most out of that performance.
He was great.
That opportunity. Great.
And then the MC of the show, he's awesome. And the tie he was wearing is awesome.
He had to bring it because the guy checking them in brought it. So he was like, I'm the guy.
And right, exactly.
So I really have to have to raise the bar.
He was great. Like I loved I thought their performances were awesome. Like I was like, yeah, these are great. But I love the MC. He's like so into it. I was reading a little bit about him, like trying to figure out more about him. He's like, I think he's Australian.
Yeah. Okay.
Really? And I think he like just did some various roles. Like he's not notable in any real way, but like kind of was a working actor. And yeah, it's so funny. Like, I don't know. I always just wonder about that. Like, where does that energy come from? The game or the movie is kind of muted in a way. Like, people are fine. There's no bad performances in it at all. It's not like an over the top character driven thing. And then you just meet these two random characters at the end. Like even Lucas is like a very, calm character. Yeah. Not really, like you said,
not
chewing the scenery
villain.
In any way. I really like this as well. Dig, I don't know if you noticed this. I didn't notice this until I read about it, and then I went and looked. Tobey Maguire's in this scene.
I read about this.
And I was like, holy shit, there he is. Like I paused it, and it's so they have the initial competition. They have to play Ninja Gaiden. And they have all these TVs set up. By the way, I it's pretty obvious that they have like recordings of the games playing on all these screens, which is cool. Because like people like walk away from them and they still play. They all seem to be somewhat tempered with each other. like in the same period of time, which is kind of interesting, but just neither here nor there. But afterwards, they are identified as the winners, I guess. The guy like goes crazy. Lucas, Moira Grissom, homely as she is, and Jimmy. I almost said Danny. Jimmy wins.
How dare you?
And then Lucas comes out and basically identifies. This is when he kind of becomes the bad guy. Really, the only time he's like the bad guy in the movie. And everyone's kind of converged. The families are all at Universal Studio. Putnam's there, and then they're like, there he is, and he like, and so the chase is on. At that scene when they're walking out, Tobey Maguire's clear as day, and he has a clear as day mullet. I'll tell you that.
You total rocking the total mullet. But just a miniature version of Spider-Man.
Yeah, same mannerisms,
with the mullet,
the facial. Like it's very funny. I'm like, there he is. It's like because sometimes kids don't really look like they do as adults. Like they look a little different. Like it really does look like him. Like it.
Oh yeah, you didn't have to look too hard.
Yeah, it's so I thought that was kind of cool. I would have never noticed that unless I read about it. That I was like, oh shit.
No, I don't think I would have noticed either.
There he is.
Yeah,
so that was kind of cool. So yeah, what do you think about all the lead up to this? We're finally at Video Armageddon. We have these great characters, the great setting. You know, Ninja Gaiden being played, all the NESs. They're all playing on the Advantage controllers, I think, which is cool. Like,
yeah, I noticed that, which is really cool.
And so there's just so much shit. There's so much Nintendo porn in this movie. It's so funny. And then again, now, what do you think about Micah was bringing this up. She's like, why is Moira Grissom have to be like sweaty and they make her ugly? Like, it's not like it's not a surprise. Like, it's not like I'm being mean. It's like, that's the intent. She's got like these tight 100%. Pigtails and she's like sweating. She's got glasses and a goofy look on her. It would have been cool, like if it was like some like, but again, it goes into like, there's a woman, like, but they do like make her like the shittiest woman. Like Lucas is cool, which is funny.
Yes.
So neat. Like that part, the woman Moira Grissom is probably a little more accurate than the Lucas character in a way
for that era. Yeah. You put the girl gamer in, but you did it dirty by making her super dorky.
Right.
It would have been really inventive and kind of ahead of your time if you made her a little cooler. Or a lot cooler, made her the female equivalent of Lucas.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing.
Yeah, right? they did it, but it's such a funny character, like Moira Grissom, just a poor girl, played by Marissa DeSimone, who doesn't have a Wikipedia page either, so she was typecast.
That's interesting. See, I'm always the most interested by those people. It's like they had this period of their lives short-lived, and they just decided to go in another direction. You know, shortly thereafter, you know, the acting thing was just a bug or whatever it was. I think it's weird. This is a very prototypical kid movie formula, but she seems like even an afterthought. Like, why couldn't it just be head up Jimmy and
like
Lucas?
one-on-one?
Why'd you need the third in there? Is that to make it more realistic? What's your take on that?
The argument could be, Dig, that because there's this whole scene where like he almost doesn't get there in time. So, but it could have just been like a default victory. Like it's still it doesn't really matter because like it could have been like, all right, Lucas just wins,
right?
You know, so
Nora was no match,
right? I like the idea of having the third in, though. I don't really mind it. I think it's because it does decentralize the story a little bit. It's like, all right, it's not about our characters. Like there's someone else, you know.
Yeah, it makes the world feel more.
Yeah, right. Like there's
other people, other stakes,
right? So that's like she has her own thing going on. I like when she's like losing and Christian Slater's like, she's out, out of here, or whatever. Like, it's like, damn, Jesus Christ.
Jesus,
like 14 years old. Let's take it easy.
I do like that the movie kind of raises to a crescendo with this. Like you said, like it's kind of a staid movie. It takes a certain tone. It never gets too loud, but really kind of gets big with the Video Armageddon thing. And it's the payoff. It's the payoff in a lot of ways. It's the you know, the point of the movie, everything's consummated in this competition, but also like, you know, this is the payoff in terms of the Nintendo marketing and, you know, making everything over the top and feel super big and large and blown out and everything. And it's fun.
And yet, Dig, I remember in my mind's eye it being bigger.
I do too.
Don't you? Like I remember is it being like more of like a real like pit of people, like a floor, like at a show. And there being like one huge screen. I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense because there's 3 people playing it. But I thought I remember like them showing Mario 3 on like this huge screen, but really the screens are not that big. And like it's like a kind of a more quaint setting than I remember. Though it is a celebratory competition, it's not I just thought that was interesting because I was like, I remember this a little differently. And I don't know if it's because I was just more excited about it as a kid. And I was like, it was big to me as a kid. And then as an adult, like a jaded adult, I'm like, oh, this is like a fucking set. Like,
yeah, it's more refined than I remembered. Like, what it reminds me of? This is kind of a weird thing to say, but try to follow this. Like, it almost reminds me of the way they created the NES for North America. Like, they didn't want to make it look like a toy. They wanted to make it look like something that blended in with your living room. This is kind of like that version of the NES. It's gray. It looks sophisticated. It looks very 80s, modern, but not like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Right, totally. It's the turn of the 80s into the 90s too. I love that. Like, what I was thinking about was like the tubes with the colors. It's like, it's not neon, but it's still that turn of the decade.
Yeah.
Like feeling aesthetic. I loved it. And all bright, sunny California. It's a perfect setting for it.
Yeah. It's got one foot in the 80s, but it's not that neon, that paint splat, whatever the hell was going on in the 80s with what would happen like in a year or two where earth colors would come in as a complete like comment on what was going on.
Yeah. Beige.
As an answer to it.
Yeah.
Beige. Forest green.
Oh, forest green. Yeah. The Explorer, forest green Explorer, that was everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. That was the big car color. Yeah.
We had one. And then those became like huge in Jurassic Park. Remember when those were in Jurassic Park? And then
one of those guys drives around that like vintage Ford Explorer with the Jurassic Park livery around.
Oh, that's sick.
And he has the Explorer and a Jeep. And sometimes I'll say, and it's the same guy.
Interesting. Oh yeah,
like you gotta be really into it.
Yeah, he loves that shit. Good for him.
Because they look like they're probably not, authentic things from the movies, but they're done like professionally. Right. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, he got like a wrap on it or whatever, which is cool. All right, so they end up playing Mario 3. I love this idea of them playing a new game. So again, we were talking about this earlier. This was a big reveal if you weren't in the know, which most people weren't, and would be a prelude to Mario 3 coming out the next year from when this movie came out. This was like a holiday movie, basically, that season in 1989.
Yeah, wow.
And I love this scene. It's like, how the fuck does Jimmy know how to play this game so well? He knows where the whistle is, like the first warp whistle.
How does Haley know about the warp whistle too? Yeah. She's like, get the warp whistle. Yeah, it's like, this is the reveal of the game.
Like, it's like,
what's happening?
Yeah, how do you know all this? And I'm also surprised. And again, this is Nintendo not really thinking things through. I don't think it really mattered, especially during this era. Is like they're kind of spoiling it because not only do they show the warp whistle and the ability to do that, break the game open.
Yeah,
but they show you the location of the first one, and then they show you the fourth world, which is arguably the coolest part of the game.
Love that freaking level.
Me too. Like, and it's so funny how like everything's zoomed in, so like there's nothing really going on because the console can't really run it. But like for people that don't know, Mario 3's fourth world is like when everything gets huge. It's the big world. Like so,
it's so good.
It's so good. And I was like, damn, like they really spoiled this game for more than I realized. Like that's a pretty big deal. So. But I just love how he knew, like, on World 1-1 where you can like use the tail to like go up and get coins and go to a secret room. I was like, how do you know how to even use that? And then, so I wonder was Jimmy reading like Famitsu or something like that? And we just didn't know this about him. Was he on Usenet?
He's just a savant. He's that good. And I love that. I love that being the barometer, like the fact of a video game no one's ever seen before. That's the true test of a gamer, the consummate gamer. He's the guy, man. He's the answer. Jimmy. Yeah, level 4. The big world, the like Mario 3 big world is like, for me, that was just, I remember how mind blowing that was playing that as a kid. It's one of those things that gets a little bit blown out in your memory. Like it was definitely more. Like those Goombas and those Koopas were more exaggerated. They were even larger in my memory. But like playing that game now, knowing how ahead of its time that was just like, wow, unbelievable. That game was unbelievably exciting.
Oh, I love it. I played it all the way through on, I lost all my lives in the 7th world, I think, and they stopped. But I was on stream a few months ago and I was like, I just love this game. I just want to play this game today and do every stage, like not like
it's so good.
No
it's
whistles.
Beyond hyperbole, like how good, how ahead of its time.
It's perfect. It's basically a perfect side scroller 2D game.
It is. I know I talked about this before, and I think my perspective is slowly changing. I don't know why it's taking so long, but like the only reason I could have said the only aspect of that game I didn't like was that you couldn't save it. It was just too long.
Yeah, it's really long. But I think that was
starting over from the beginning over and over again. But the warp.
I was going to say. I think that was a way, and I also feel like I could be wrong on this because I know Simon's Quest. Like it depended on if the game was on like a Famicom disk system or not. And I think a lot like some games. So like I think the password system for Simon's Quest was only in the NES version. Like you could save, and I wonder if the same thing was true with Mario 3 as well. But yeah, the whistles kind of give you a way to break it because that was the biggest bummer about Mario 1 was that game was just so fucking hard. I think the bigger thing was it didn't really matter because there was no way for you not to get kicked back anyway if you lost all your lives. So
right.
So I think and Mario 3 is actually pretty trivially easy. I was busting balls. People were like, "Oh, you weren't able to beat it without losing your lives." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of lost my life. I had a real hard time on this one stage on stage 7, but I'm like, I was playing on Switch." And the timing is a little bit off on the scrolling stuff, like whether at the end of a stage or when you're trying to do the match pictures. And I'm like,
yeah.
50 more lives right now. I'm like, something's wrong with the way this is matched up. Like I have muscle memory like crazy for this. So it's not working for some reason for me because of
that's a big deal.
Yeah. So
because that really gives you the currency to get far.
Oh yeah, like you'll have like,
when you know the rhythms of that.
Right, exactly. Like you don't even really start dying until like the 5th, 6th world, and at that point you should have like a shit ton of lives. So
yeah, shouldn't have to worry. Yeah.
So ultimately, oh by the way, I also want to say that the announcer says Super Mario Brothers 3, and I know that this has been beaten out of me. It was beaten out of me. I don't say it the way I used to say it as a kid anymore. Yeah, but I still stand by the fact that everyone that I knew growing up said Mario 3.
100%.
And
no one said Mario in New York.
No, not at all. And I was, in hindsight, I'm kind of upset at myself that I let it go. I was like, fine, like, because I didn't want to hear it anymore, But I'm like, but I'm telling you that people named Mario are named Mario. Like, I'm just telling you, I went to an elementary school with a kid named Mario. No one called him Mario.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
So I'm always been annoyed by that, but that was one of those things where I completely capitulated, where I'm like, I can't be teased about this anymore. I can't be brought up every 5 seconds. All right, fine, it's Mario, whatever you say.
Oh, that's such a funny thing. Yeah, that's a divisive thing. I understand.
And Dig, what do you think about the parents kind of all coalescing at the show and then kind of being into it? I kind of think that's cute.
Yeah. Supportive.
Yeah, they like the
supportive
stepdad's
parents.
into it. Like even the dad and stepdad embrace when Jimmy wins and stuff like that, which I think is kind of nice because they have beef with each other.
Cute.
And
that's a cute little moment.
And yeah, it's very interesting. I have more of a problem with like Putnam being in the audience. Like, first of all these people must like stink, right? Like Putnam looks like he's like hasn't showered in 5 days. Like he somehow finds he's like all fucked up. He's got like a black eye. His glasses are broken. He's got his shirt ripped up, and he's like he looks like he's going to hurt someone, like a child, and he's like just allowed in a video Armageddon. Didn't really understand that, but I like that it very much turns more into a children's movie at the end with it's a children's movie throughout, but with like everyone being like, yeah, this is great. No, look at him go.
Yeah, it's cute.
Kind of thing. So it's nice. And again,
that's the dream.
There is a deleted scene.
You want supportive parents, right? You want supportive parents. Like that's part of the dream. Again, like when you're a kid, you're a 9-year-old watching this movie. It's like my parents are cheering for video games. Like, yeah. That's a fantasy world.
There's a deleted scene as well that like the mom intercepts them before they get on stage, and there's a possibility that Jimmy like won't play, and they like convince her to let him play too. So there's that whole thing too. There's like a whole interesting thing with the parents and the dynamic of them, which I think is why maybe she's not there in the beginning in the pit, but I could be wrong about that. Like conspicuously absent, but ultimately Jimmy knows how to play Mario 3 flawlessly, and he wins. It's not flawless, actually. He keeps dying, but he understands all the secrets somehow, and he wins. He knows where the whistle is. It's completely insane. He knows how to use it. He gets far. This somehow gives him more points. I still don't understand that either. Because again, like it would be cool if like you were using the whistles to try to just get further, and that was who won or whatever. But ultimately, he wins, and then things kind of end where you find out where this whole California thing is going, which is that they're at the Cabazon dinosaurs. I had to look these up. These are in California in the desert. And
never been there.
You have been?
No, never.
No, me neither.
Never.
Me neither.
I would love it. It's like very, very iconic tourist trap. But yeah, never been.
And there's a kind of a peculiar thing that happens here too, just in that, he says California, California, as they're driving by, and so they pull over and he runs into the dinosaur. But no one at any point says like, "Oh, we've been here." Like, do you remember when we came here? Like, no one like puts that together until like he shows them the picture.
That's really strange.
And is like, don't you remember like 2 years ago we like, or whatever it was, we were here. It's a very strange situation, but it all led to this. And then he just leaves his pictures behind, I think.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Well,
he's letting it all go, I guess.
Yeah, he's leaving her where she was happy.
But like, this was such a meaningful place for him to like to meet and to do all this kind of stuff or whatever. But then like, no one seems to have any memory of it. So like, no one else gave a shit.
Yeah. Memories of goldfish, these people.
So
that's amazing.
So that's how it all ends. I mean, and that's the wizard.
And that's it, man. That's great. You know what I wanted to talk to you about that was really bothering me at the end of this movie? During Video Armageddon, they have the graphics while the three of them are playing for, the final Super Mario Bros. 3 and competing. And they have those knights running along to show like that was like the progress bar. It seems so weird.
Yeah.
Like why not just make that Nintendo branded?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Or just show scores that are not like more readable. It's like very over designed. Yeah.
It's really, really strange. It just feels like completely unrelated to what's happening.
And then they have these graphics come up when he wins that look like they're out of like Max Headroom or something, where it's like, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like Jimmy wins, like kind of like flashing on the screen kind of thing. And I'm like, geez. So it is weird. Again, like I feel like it's under branded, ironically. Like it's an under branded movie. Like they could have done more.
It really is. Yeah. And on one hand, you applaud the restraint, but on the other hand, it's like, I don't know. It feels like it doesn't feel cohesive, which is strange. I think, if there was marketing people involved in Nintendo, why not cover all the aspects of that?
Yeah.
That type of thing. Now, in retrospect, honestly, that sort of thing and the knights and the weird graphics and the anomalies and stuff kind of make it more charming because it's a mess. And that feels very 80s to me. It feels like, you know what this movie feels like, Kyle? You grew up, I'm 11 years older, but we both grew up with things where it feels like the people making them don't really understand the subject matter.
Yeah, totally.
That's a very 80s thing. And that's part of what makes this movie feel so nostalgic, because now if you had a film or even a documentary or something like that, it would be more authentic. Right? It just
Absolutely.
Like back then, adults, the people creating this stuff didn't understand the subject matter, whether it was BMX, skateboarding, or video games, or whatever it was.
It's interesting.
I love that. Yeah, it speaks to the era.
It's a great point too, because it's like almost like Craven. Like we're just doing this for the money. Like we don't give a shit.
100%.
And they didn't realize at the time, like you can do it for a lot more money if you do it right. They just didn't care.
Yeah.
It is interesting. And there was nothing to care about at the time too. That's the other thing, is that there just wasn't anything to care about. There was no established formula for doing this kind of thing. And it's funny that games wouldn't find their way in movie or TV form for years and years and years after this. Like it just never worked. Like you would have we brought up Grandma's Boy earlier, like random one-offs like that, but it's like they're not even really about games, and really this isn't either. But this is more about games than anything. It's not a license or whatever, but they just couldn't find their way. It's just so strange. And then they eventually did. They eventually did find their way. But with The Last of Us and Fallout and Gran Turismo was good and Uncharted was good and all these different things, and they're doing Horizon and they're doing God of War, and it's all going to be great.
It's a really good point. Yeah. And now with I think the marriage of Nintendo and Illumination for the Mario movies, or the first Mario movie, and will be the deal for the second movie, is like, that's a marriage made in heaven. That just works really well, especially aesthetically. So now it's an era where things are much more thought out. I think the stakes are higher because there's even more to be made now when things are done right. And I think there's less inclination to do things badly, which kind of makes me miss the 80s a little bit, because I don't know, there's something charming about taking a shot and maybe not fully understanding it, but trying anyway.
Yeah, sure.
There's something just that notion of that really speaks to my childhood. And especially now looking back, it's kind of those are fond memories. I don't know. There's one thing that I thought of watching this movie. I've thought about a million times, but I've never articulated for some reason. I wanted to bounce this off you. Is it maybe you've thought about this too? I was thinking about the sister at the end when they show her photos. Was it Jennifer, the twin sister that passed away?
Jennifer,
Jimmy and Jennifer. How do they handle, like, who is that person? It's a real person.
Like, who is the actress?
We only see her in the static photos.
Yeah.
How do they handle that in terms of, I always wonder how the people handle that. Like, do they say they're in the movie, but also how is it handled in terms of compensation, in terms of credit?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
there's probably rules.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. There's probably SAG-AFTRA rules you would assume with that kind of stuff. You would think. Because I always think about that too,
when the director's daughter,
when they like write out a movie, write out someone, or someone dies, or they're not available, but they still use their picture in a movie, or like I think in Independence Day too, like there's a picture of Will Smith in the guy's locker, I think, or something like that. You know, like that kind of shit. Yeah, I've wondered that as well. Yeah, she must be just like an actress or something, and they use, because at that time they could just do it with AI now probably if they really wanted to, but back then that's why it's so funny. It's like these are not even airbrush photos. Like this is literally them.
Right. Yeah.
Because usually there's a lot more care done with some movies with old photos, and like you could tell like it's just a baby photo from a person, like a person's real life, or like something that was spliced together with something else, and they just didn't even bother doing that. It's just like everyone at the current age they're at now, but this was supposed to be years ago. They just went with it. Didn't really matter.
Do you think it was the runner-up for like the Haley part? And she gets the call and she's all excited, and you're like, you made it into the movie, and she's like, yeah, but that's the good news. The bad news is you're just going to be the dead sister. You're seeing the photos for 3 seconds at the end.
You
get that call.
Crestfallen. But yeah, that's The Wizard. I mean, I rented it on Amazon. It's available there. There is a Blu-ray available apparently from 2020 that has all the extra footage on it, though. You could just go search for it on YouTube and find it there if you want as well.
I love that. Is it a Criterion? A Criterion?
Yeah. They're in the closet.
Why doesn't somebody have the balls to go in the Criterion closet and like mention this movie?
Yeah.
How refreshing would that be?
It would be so awesome.
You know?
Yeah, The Wizard. This is a touchstone for me.
It's like P.T. Anderson talking about going to NYU for film school, and like his first month, and he had one of his film professors say, like, you know, if you're here to make Terminator 2, you've chosen the wrong thing, and he left. He's like, I like Terminator 2. And he went on to be one of the best filmmakers in the world.
Exactly. You kidding me? Terminator 2 is fucking awesome.
I love that story. It's the best.
That's it, Dig. Anything to say as we wrap things up?
I'm looking forward to doing it again. This was a fun one because it was largely off my radar. Again, like getting something that's so iconic in a pop culture and nerd culture sense was cool, but something I largely didn't know. So it was like a kind of a deep dive for me. It was something I was relatively unfamiliar with. What occurred to me about this movie, though, is this would have been a really particularly fun one to just do a riff, just a watch along.
Oh, yeah, watch along, yeah.
I don't know why. I was talking to myself this entire movie because it does get, it is weird, especially watching it the first time. But to be fair, I think watching it a second time, which I watched it twice, you connect more dots, but the first time it just seems wildly all over the place.
Definitely. It definitely does. I feel the same.
And I was just like, it would be a really funny watch along. This would be a really fun one to riff on.
Yeah, I agree. That kind of stuff's fun. I think people like Red Letter, I think, does that on their Patreon and stuff, because you have to like sync it up, right? Like with people. So
do they do that on their Patreon?
I thought so, yeah, because I think some of them like sometimes are published on YouTube, but
that's cool.
But it's just like, I think a companion to which you're like watching the film and listening to them talk, because the footage can't just be shown, I don't think,
Right. And that may go well and it may not be funny. So it's really a crap.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It was strange movie.
But listen, us nerds and pop culture people and millennial and Gen X kids, you got to come through this movie, especially with the retro gamer and us.
Oh, definitely.
Like, there's no way around it.
Yeah,
you have got for different aspects. Kevin Arnold, all that kind of stuff, but especially just for the retro game aspect, you have to.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's NES porn and Nintendo porn, and like if you're a Nintendo fan specifically, like it's a must know. Like you should be.
I love saying it that way.
Yeah, like you should be familiar with it. It's a cool touchstone in a different era of Nintendo before they got gun shy and disappeared from, media for many years. So definitely check it out. It's on Amazon. It might be in so Universal. Who would that even be on? What streaming service? I can't keep up with it, but I'm sure it's probably available as part of your subscription somewhere.
That's Peacock, right? NBC.
Oh, yeah. So maybe it's on Peacock.
Yeah, Comcast.
But it was $4.
Now, do you know, Kyle, don't spoil it if you don't want
Yeah.
to. Do you know in your head, do you have an idea of what the next Super Knockback's going to be?
No, I actually don't. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm open to ideas from you, Dave, of course. And
I have to think about that.
Yeah, think about it. You can pick something out.
All right.
And yeah, we'll be back in the next month or so. Hand this off to Lockmore now and see what he can do with it.
It's up to you, Locke. Let's go.
We're relying on you. All right.
Make us funny.
Yeah, I know. Like, help us out a little bit here.
Easier said than done.
I know. Dig, I appreciate your time. It was good to see you and catch up with you.
Yeah, it was
as
fun.
always.
I love it. Loved it.
We'll see you again in the coming weeks. Be well. And thank you all there for your love, kindness, and support. Hope you enjoyed our conversation about The Wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. Patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access. Laststandmedia.store for merch. We'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye. KnockBack, a retro and nostalgia podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from Central Virginia and the Philadelphia suburbs, USA. The show was conceived by and is produced by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is Dagan Moriarty. KnockBack's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including KnockBack, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level or higher on Patreon, and we're grateful for your kindness and generosity.